win nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, 'cause it's bad boy for life.
The Evolution, Sports Talk Television live here nightly. Bucs Report, it's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter White, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live nightly on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off the Sports Web? Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. And if you've been under a rock, and hopefully you haven't, of course, this show is brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts for all your great auto parts needs. It's Advanced Auto Parts, and we're getting you ready for Bucs versus the Chiefs. No, it's not a regular season game. No, it's not a playoff game. It's Super Bowl 55, so definitely want to hear from you and your thoughts once again as has the euphoria, if you will, set in on this team being in the Super Bowl in just less than 2 weeks at Raymond James Stadium. I don't think it's set in yet, but we'll have Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds on. Talking about that game versus the Green Bay Packers, of course, where the Bucs beat them 31-26 in the NFC Championship game. We'll have Brent Allen of the Pewtercast. We'll have Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, after. And then, of course, always your phone call, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds. Welcome to the Evolution. And here we are. Here we set right now, just less than 2 weeks away from Super Bowl 55 as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will face the Kansas City Chiefs. Your thoughts?
Incredible. Incredible ride, incredible journey. And, it's a great place to be. And it's been a long time since, Tampa's been in the playoff, let alone, in the Super Bowl. And so it's a great feeling. I know the city of Tampa's, just beyond themselves right now, especially the fans. They went through a lot of tough times, and to finally be here is, exhilarating. It just feels really, really good. So we're excited.
Yeah, I want to ask you, do you think the fans appreciated the first one, of course, in 2002? Do you think they appreciate this one more, Ricky, because of all the off-the-field stuff? I get it. There was off-the-field stuff. What was different back then in 2002, 2003? You had a pandemic. You have a first-year quarterback. There's so much uncertainty, and then this team has a slow start, and then they end up at 7-5, and there's a lot of acquisitions and new players. Do you think the fans kind of appreciate this one more than they appreciate the first one, or am I making too much of that?
You may be making too much of it, but I do think they appreciate it just because, when Brady coming in, everybody had high expectations, but you never know, and the team was up and down. and they were here and there. And so you figured, if they can make the playoffs, then, maybe next year we'll be ready to go. And so for them to be able to be here at this point, I think these guys are, the fans are really excited about it because, the 2002 team, you were expecting great things from them because they had a great team. They had a lot of great players on it. And so, it wasn't a surprise for them to get there and to win it all. But this team, the expectations weren't probably as high as that one. But although Brady was here, everybody's expecting great things from him. But yeah, it's I think people are really excited about what's going on now.
Are you amazed at what Tom Brady has done for this organization? I mean, just in his first year, breaking franchise records with passing touchdowns at 43 years old. I mean, in your opinion, people will say, again, it was not just Tom Brady, it was the defense. And of course, it was the special teams and other players on this team. But really kind of talk about Tom Brady and his impact on this organization in just less than a year.
Well, first of all, it's, Tom Brady, and of course, everybody had high expectations of him. And I think sometimes, those expectations are, probably more overrated than anything because, a quarterback can only control so much. But what he really has brought to this team and the organization is that winning attitude and learning how to win and learning how to stay focused, during the course of the season, during the course of a game, allowing yourself to, to never be too high when you're winning, never be too low when you're losing, just to continuously stay focused at the task at hand. And I think this team has taken that trait on and has learned how to win, even when they're behind by 20 points, or if they're ahead by 20 points, to just keep fighting, to keep playing, and to stay focused at the task at hand. And I think he has brought that that mental attitude to this team and this organization. And these guys have learned how to do it, and they're getting it done.
And we're on with former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds here. So if you have a question for him or anything about the game at all, your thoughts on being a Super Bowl participant, first one in NFL history at the home stadium, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go back and talk about this game. Much was made about Aaron Rodgers coming into it, MVP, playing at that MVP type of level. How surprised were you that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really get after it? Does it all come down to Vita Vea and his presence in that middle that really freed up a Shaq Barrett who had 3 sacks and a JPP who had 2?
Well, I don't know if it was all Vita Vea, but I'm sure he commands a lot of attention. He's a big guy. He's a heavy load. He played a lot more than I expected him to play, but he was ready to go, and by him getting so much push in the middle, they have to, recognize what he's doing and have to sometimes double team and give him that attention that allows, the defensive ends to be able to be freed up to have one-on-one matchups and things of that effort. But I just believe that everybody on that defensive side of the ball just allowed, their intensity, their level of play just to rise up, and to play on another level. And they knew the importance of the of that game and what they had to do to go out there and to compete and to get after Green Bay and to win. And I believe, a lot of it, like you talked about, came from Tom Brady and them knowing that, hey, it's never promised that we'll be here again. We got to put it all on the line and go out there and play. And those guys just rose their level up, and every one of them took it to another level, and they just competed and did a good job.
How impressed are you with Sean Murphy Bunting? We talked about his inconsistencies at the beginning of the year, and it seemed like he was just getting better and better, more aggressive in this game. What did you see with him jumping that route once again? And what have you seen from this back end and the postseason that has been different from the regular season, in your opinion?
Well, first off, Sean Murphy Bunting, he just stepped up and he's been playing well during the course of these playoffs. He's really has gotten after the receivers. It's been very physical, challenging them. Making plays on the ball, and I think some of the other things he's done is really has improved in his technique part of it, and being in the right position where you need to be able to make plays. And that was very important. And I think Todd Bowles has actually done a great job of calling a good defense, for these guys so they can challenge the receivers and really get after them and not have to worry about getting beat deep and things of that nature. And I say that because a lot of times we had two deep safeties, and sometimes we allowed the safeties to roll down and help out on some of those crossing routes and things of that nature. So Todd Bowles and the secondary has done a great job of preparing these guys for the last couple of games, and all of them have stepped up. They're making plays. They're getting after the receivers. They're communicating. They're all playing at a different level, and that's what you have to do when you're in the playoffs. You have to rise your game up, raise everything up, and really compete and get after your opponents, and they're getting it done.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to the webheads here, read some of these comments from these guys. Cazell says, Bucs Nation, Bucs Nation. All right, good stuff. Robert says, go Bucs. Russ Lawson says, want to see Gronk more involved in the passing game. You didn't see a lot of that, but when you did, it was a big-time play with the 29-yarder screen. Go ahead and break that play down and what you saw on film or in that game.
Well, like you said, this team has so many receivers and so many playmakers on their offense that, they don't have to depend on Gronk, even though he's a great player and he does some super outstanding things. I'm sure there were probably certain type coverages they might have been leaning towards his way to, prevent them to really go after and get him the ball. But on that one particular play, the screen pass, it was a great call. Nobody was expecting it, and especially to the tight end. And the offense just set it up perfectly and got him the ball in the open field, and he was able to make some moves down the field and turn it into a big gain and a nice play. And I think it was just a perfect play at the perfect time to the perfect person, and it was a big play during that course of the game.
It really was a big time conversion there, third down conversion, I believe. James says Tampa. Let's see. Christopher Cole says, hey guys, let's go Bucs. Jennifer says Bay. Robert says, hope AB is ready. It looks like he could be ready. So how much of an impact do you think AB will make to that wide receiving room against the Kansas City Chiefs? Gives them another dynamic weapon who can be definitely a number one wide receiver on that field next Sunday. Well, not this Sunday, but next Sunday versus the Chiefs in Super Bowl 55, right?
Oh, yeah. It's always huge when you have a player like AB coming in, and playing on your team with, especially with all the other receivers that we have on this team. And AB is just a guy that can play, like you said, as a number one receiver and can, take it to another level. And, with this group and with AB out there as well, you really can't isolate on one guy. Teams tend to still look at Mike Evans, of course, as the big play receiver. And if they're going to double anybody, it's going to be him. But, AB can take it to, downfield and make big plays, as well as Chris Godwin. So you can't really, isolate on just one guy, because either one of these other guys can make the plays as well.
Good stuff. All right, let's go back out to the webheads here. Somebody says, fire those cannons, as we shall. Right there. Give you that. Willow says, no, let him block so Brady stays protected. I mean, that's what they did with the Gronkowski, and that's what people really don't get from that Gronkowski acquiring him in the offseason. Not only is he a guy that's going to be able to make plays, especially in the screen game, over the middle, on the sideline with big-time catches, but also as an inline blocker. In your opinion, do you feel like he's a better inline blocker right now than he is a pass catcher? That's saying a lot, because he had 7 touchdowns during the regular season.
Oh yes, he's definitely a better inline blocker than he is as a receiver right now. I think he has probably lost a step or so. It doesn't have as much speed as he once had, but he's still dangerous out there. But as a blocker, I mean, he's fierce. I mean, he battles, he gets in there and butts head with the best of them. And to be able to have a guy that can be a great pass receiver and block as well, and can play, every down as a tight end is tremendous help for this team and organization. And he's a big asset in the running game as well as the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, you watched the breakdown of him from Brian Baldinger of NFL Network, and he looked like another tackle. Like, he looked like a left tackle the way he was standing up players and going outside and doing a great job against the Washington football team. Did some of that against the Saints, but more than likely in the Washington football team, it was just textbook, and that's the reason why Brady has been able to stay protected. And then that's what you want, because you take a look at that game, those interceptions. First and foremost, when you watch those interceptions, are they on Brady? Are they on the wide receivers? Or is it a combination of both? Namely, the one where Leonard Fournette looks like he misses a pass block. Brady just throws it up. That's on Brady. But again, that's all off of pressure, because you're basically forcing him to throw the ball quicker than he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a combination of things, and in that particular play there, he had a lot of pressure coming from I think the defensive backfield, and the guy was coming pretty quickly, and he wanted to get rid of the ball, before he got hit, and hung it up in the air a little bit too long. He couldn't get it out to I think it was Mike Evans, and they were able to make a play on it. And some of those things happen like that when the defense, they make a great call and bring some heat on your quarterback. It happens. It's a great play defensively to put them in a situation where they were able to make a play. There was one, I think one interception where I think it was 2nd and 9. And I think he tried to throw it deep to Mike Evans and got it a little bit too far inside of the field and didn't get it out towards the sideline, and made it for an easy interception for the safety back there. And that one was probably an ill-advised pass. He didn't really have to do. But other than that, a lot of it has to do with the defense and what they're doing.
You don't think fans should be worried about Brady throwing 3 interceptions again? I get it. Kansas City, they got some talented players, and a Honey Badger and, of course, a Chris Jones, but not a defense like the Saints or the Washington football team. So do you think fans and the Bucs in general should be worried about that turnover situation with Brady?
No, I wouldn't be worried at all. Brady's a guy that I really believe that he was probably disgusted with himself at the end of that game for throwing those interceptions. And he when they interviewed him, he's like, bring somebody else up here. I played, I'm sure to himself, like, I played terrible. I did some good things in the first half, but I was terrible in the second half. So I'm sure how competitive he is. He's being hard on himself, and he is looking at the game and looking at the mistakes that he made, and he's not going to allow that to happen this next game. So, you don't have to worry about it. Brady's going to take care of Brady, and he's not going to throw any interceptions in the Super Bowl.
Sounds good to me. Less turnovers, the better, because the more turnovers you have, the more of the opportunity. And, of course, with those turnovers, it kept the Packers in the game. But I think the amazing thing is, coming into it, the Green Bay Packers in the red zone are number 1 in the NFL. That defense, even without an Antoine Winfield and also a Whitehead, who we'll get back to in a moment, held them to 50%. What did you think of that situation where basically the Packers have it 1st and goal? They're not able to get in. You kick the field goal to make it 31-26, or instead of kicking the field goal, do you put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands? And if you're the coach, what are you thinking at that point? Because he is the MVP, so you kind of ruin the confidence of your offense if you're not going for the touchdown, right? It's like waving a white flag at that point.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was shocked. I just knew they were going for it. I said, I saw that, we were able to make a play on 3rd down. So I said, all right, one more down. Here we go. We got to, make this play and get off the field. And I said, oh man, he's kicking it. What's going on? And so I was shocked, and I don't know what the head coach was thinking. I think he was very conservative in his thinking and of what he was trying to do, and had too much belief in his defense that they could just go out and stop Brady and company from moving the ball down the field and advancing like they did and milking it out, and it was just a bad call on his play, because I really believe he should have went for it and gave his offense the opportunity to try to score. If anything, they still had to go back and score a touchdown anyway, so
Sure.
Why not do it now versus, and they would have been backed up a little bit, which would have been more pressure on the Buccaneers.
You watched a lot of this back end, and that's the reason why we love having you on here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. Whitehead, Jordan Whitehead, was this the best game you've seen him play in a Bucs uniform? I mean, he was everywhere. He caused a fumble, which once again gave the momentum back to the Bucs after giving him a short field with Devin White recovering the fumble, and of course the Bucs going down and scoring with Cameron Brate touchdown. Was this the best that you saw Jordan Whitehead play in a Buccaneer uniform?
Oh, yes. I would say that this was the greatest impact that he has made, since he's been in a Buccaneer uniform, where he really was a player that was creating havoc, and causing a big disturbance for the Packer offense, by coming up and, making those big hits and those big forces coming up, hitting the running backs. And he was making some big plays. He was all over the field. He was very physical, and he made a difference in that football game, and that was probably the best I've ever seen him play.
Going back to Aaron Rodgers, much was made before the game that he's one of the greatest of all time, but he's 1-4 in NFC Championship games with only one Super Bowl in his entire career. Would you say he's one of the greatest of all time, or is that basically just a BS and national talking heads trying to get clicks and people to have something to talk about on their sports talk shows?
I think a lot of that is coming off of his potential, because of his abilities of, being a guy that's very mobile, a guy that's very accurate, that can put the ball in places that many quarterbacks can't put it, and also having a strong arm, being able to throw the ball downfield and being very consistent, throughout his career. But to me, you're really known by what you do in those types of games, in the NFC championships and Super Bowls, when the championship is on the line, and being able to deliver and make those great plays. And, that's why people talk about Patrick Mahomes being, a great superstar, because he just lights it up, when the game's on the line, and in these crucial situations, he scores touchdowns and he makes plays. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to do that. He just hasn't been able to do that consistently in the playoffs and in big situations. And that's what you want your superstars to be able to do. So I think he's overhyped a little bit as far as, what he's accomplished and where he stands with all the quarterbacks, all the great quarterbacks. I think he needs to win more championships.
He's not a top 5. Is he a top 10 quarterback?
Oh yeah, easily. He's easily a top 10 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, he has all the stats. He has, he's done it, year in and year out, consistently, but it's just trying to finish at the end that will put him, up in the top 5. If he can get another one, or, he'll have a chance to be up there.
All right, good stuff. Former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For all your auto parts needs, it's Advanced Auto Parts. Again, open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's go back out to the webheads, and then I want to ask you about the play right before the half. In fact, I tell you what, I can't wait to ask you about this. What in the world are the Green Bay Packers doing before halftime? Of course, the Bucs take the chance. They get the 4th down conversion. They have 8 seconds left. no timeouts, and all you have to do as a defender or as a defensive coordinator is call a play and keep everything in front of you because the Bucs have no timeouts. They're not even able to get a field goal. And it's a lot better, Ricky, if it's 14-10 or even 17-10, but you give up a touchdown to Scotty Miller, 39 yards. What's going on there? And I got to read these comments from Tony Dungy after your response because it's unbelievable what Green Bay did defensively against Scotty Miller before halftime, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't blame it on Green Bay, but blame it on the player, because he put himself in a bad situation. Obviously he was playing way too tight during the course of a play that was probably going to be the last play of the half. Anytime you have that situation, you want to loosen yourself up. And like you said, keep everything in front of you. You want to be able to see the receiver. You want to be able to see the quarterback, the ball, and to be able to come back and, knock it down at its highest point. And he started off with being inside the receiver to where the Scotty Miller got outside of him. Now I can't see the receiver and the quarterback at the same time, and then once Scotty Miller got behind him, he lost him. He didn't know where he was. And the other thing was Scotty Miller never shouldn't have gotten even with him, in the first place. He should have had kept his depth and stayed on top of the receiver and been able to come back downhill to knock the ball down. So it was a total bust by the defensive back. I don't think, the Packers coached it that way. I wouldn't blame them at all. I believe that, he was coached up to keep his depth and to not allow that receiver to get behind him. So I think it was an error on the DB at that point.
Well, and this is what Tony Dungy had to say, of course, Hall of Fame coach, former coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That may be the worst defensive design I've ever seen with 8 seconds and no timeouts left. Green Bay, I'm not sure how you play inside technique man-to-man and not just play zone and protect the sideline in the end zone. Amazing. Could a defensive coordinator like a Mike Pettine lose his job because of that? I mean, that's such a critical play if you look at it. Explain the momentum from that point because it's pretty simplistic, right? Instead of being down 14-10 and feeling good about yourself and getting the ball in the second half and actually feeling like you have a chance in this game, you're down 21-10.
Oh yeah, that was devastating. That was devastating for those guys. I mean, they were like you said, right in the game, and to spot them a touchdown, at the end of the half, just like that, in a big game as this, going into the Super Bowl, it was devastating, and that was the ball game. It was literally the ball game for them. And like I said, I could only blame it on the coordinator or the coaching staff if they taught that. If they were teaching that technique, then yeah, they definitely deserve to be replaced because in that situation, all the offense could have done is, did a quick out to try to get closer for a field goal or run downfield and throw it up into the end zone, and in those situations, you definitely want the defensive back to be outside the receiver so that he can see him in case he did run an out cut or so that he can see him going down the field to be able to, protect against a big play like that. And the technique was terrible. I mean, he was way inside. Couldn't see the receiver, and the receiver, like I said, got even with him and passed him up and got behind him. And that's cardinal rule number 1 in that situation. Never let a receiver get behind you on the last play of a half or a game.
Is Scotty Miller a lot faster than people give him credit for? And is that maybe the reason why maybe this corner or this defense in general kind of took him lightly? Because he was talking about this today. He feels like he could definitely have a race with the Tyreek Hill. He could be the fastest player in the NFL, but Cheetah is something different. What are your thoughts on Miller's comments today?
Yeah, Cheetah is something different, but he's definitely a lot faster than people think, And all you gotta do is watch the film. That guy can run. Scotty Miller can run, and so you have to be aware of it when you're playing against him. That that's one of the things that they do is they send him deep, and he runs by guys. So if I was playing him, I'm definitely being conscious to that he's a deep threat, and I want to treat him as such. And he's a great asset to this team because you want to have somebody that can do that, get downfield, and get behind the defensive backs and make outstanding plays. So we're glad we have Scotty Miller in our team.
Yeah, I agree. And you wonder how they're going to use them versus the Chiefs in Super Bowl 55. Down the matchup everybody is kind of looking at is a Tyreek Hill versus a Carlton Davis. You're not expecting them to do what they did in the first matchup, which is basically Davis to shadow Hill. You're going to put that safety over the top. But, Ricky, why does it continue to happen where Davis is basically singled up? He gave up a big play versus Valdez-Scantling first. Do you think that's going to happen again with the matchup of Hill? And then what did you see on the 50-yard bomb to Valdez-Scantling versus Davis in the Green Bay game?
Well, first off, against the Chiefs, like you said, they obviously kind of let him out there on his own to battle against Tyreek Hill. And that didn't work out. Oh. And Tyreek got, pretty much all of his yards in that first quarter. I mean, he had over 200 yards in the first quarter, scored all his touchdowns. Once they adjusted, they pretty much shut him down, and they were able to get back into the game. And so I'm expecting them to play a similar style of defense to where they put that lid on Tyreek Hill to keep him from making those big plays, and then focus on Kelsey underneath. Especially in those third down situations. So you just got to be smart with that. And then the other play that happened against Green Bay was just a man-to-man coverage. And they just went down the field. It was one hole where they had the safety was in the deep middle part of the field. So he didn't have any help over the top other than in the middle of in the middle for the post. And he just got beat. Carlton Davis is not as fast as you think, I've been watching, our guys play, and he's not a barn burner. He doesn't run, really fast. So sometimes he can get a step behind some of those receivers and put himself in bad position. So he just has to be smart and careful with how he plays so that those guys don't get a step on him and put him in bad situation.
Could you see an adjustment here? We're on with former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds here on the Sports Web. Could they make an adjustment where they go Sean Murphy-Bunting because he is playing so well right now on a Tyreek Hill? And do you think that a Murphy-Bunting could cover if they decide to go one-on-one coverage with Bunting against a Hill? Or do you think they keep it the same and once again play a safety over the top?
I think they'll keep it the same. I think, Carlton Davis is a really good aggressive type corner. He'll get his hands on him. He'll be physical with him. And by having a safety over the top allows him to be even more physical than he would without a safety because, now he knows that if he gets behind him, he's covered, So now he can be aggressive and really challenge him on all the shorter routes throughout the game and really compete. And I think they'll, like I said, keep it the same to where he's still matched up and competing against Tyreek.
All right, good stuff there. Let's go back out to the webheads, read some of these comments. I'm not going to get your prediction tonight because I'm going to bring you back next week and we'll break down that game and that matchup in Super Bowl 55 versus the Chiefs. So I don't want to give it all away. So we'll definitely have you back on next week. So let's say here, Willow says, no, let him block so Brady stays protected. Blackie says, going to have to happen. Benny says, he's protecting Brady. Let's go out to James. Brought my excitement and passion and the anthem I made for the crew and the team. Very cool. Benny says, I hope Scotty did not give locker room material with that comment of him saying he's just as fast or faster than a Tyreek Hill. Is that bulletin board material where people see that comment and they get more motivated? Or at this juncture, if you're not motivated to play Super Bowl 55, then what are we talking about?
Yeah, I don't think that's nothing to really motivate anybody over. I can see if he had beat, a couple of their DBs and was talking a little mess, that would probably get them going a little bit. But no, I mean, Tyreek is already going to go out there and try to do, match what he did the first game, So, you don't have to motivate him.
How excited do you think that these young players are that haven't participated in a Super Bowl are? And can a guy like a Brady, a Gronk, the veteran guys on the team, even a Leonard Fournette and a JPP, can they keep some of these young players focused?
Yes, I'm sure they can. I mean, with that wealth of experience in the locker room, guys that have been there, and the maturity, like I said, in the room, we'll be able to talk to these guys and tell them that what to expect. And it's going to be a little different because of the COVID and not having the fan base and all the hype that you would have with a regular Super Bowl. So it will be a little different, but they're going to tell them, hey, you guys are going to be nervous at the start of this thing, but once it starts happening and you start playing football, it's a football game. It begins to be a football game, and you're just gonna get in there and play.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. You're on with yours truly, along with former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth from Jefferson, Missouri.
Okay.
So I was listening to the live Twitch stream, and you mentioned something about a sack. What's a sack?
Well, what's a sack is a defensive player sacking the opposing quarterback. And if Bucs are going to ever have a chance versus a Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, they got to do that a lot. So does that answer your question?
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
Is it your first time watching the Sports Web? That's very cool. Very cool. So what do you think about this big game?
Yeah. No, I just tuned in.
Oh, you just tuned in?
I'm not really sure.
Oh, you're not really sure?
I don't really watch football, but I was just very like interested in what a sack was.
Okay. Well, we can definitely teach you all about football. Just keep on tuning in, Elizabeth. Yeah. All right. I'll go in and fire those cannons for you right there. And thanks a lot for the call.
Have a good night.
Appreciate you. All right. She wanted to know what a sack was. So there you go. It's a sack. Quarterback tackling.
Yeah,
right.
you explained it very well, too.
All right. You're on with former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds here, along with yours truly on the Sports Web. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, from Tampa.
What's your name?
Jay Mitch, man. Hey, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. You're on with Ricky Reynolds. You have a question for Ricky, or you have something to say about your Bucs being in Super Bowl 55?
Oh, yeah, I want to say something to Ricky, and then I got something to say about our Bucs being here.
All right, go for
Ricky, how you doing, man? I met you in Walmart one day, man. You know what? I was so glad to meet you, man. Now that I went to thinking, now that our Bucs is here, I was like, man, I told my little brother, I said, man, I met Ricky Reynolds in the Walmart here in Tampa, man. I'm so glad I met you, man. And, man, this is so great for you and for all of us to see our Bucs in this Super Bowl. Man, this is amazing, man. And I cannot believe this. You know what? I care about all our players. I care about every last one of them. What's his name? Miller, Vega.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? We're gonna win this game. We're gonna beat the Chiefs.
Well, why? Hey, whoa! Why are they gonna beat the Chiefs for? Come on now, you can't just come on here and say, well, they're gonna beat the Chiefs. So why are they gonna beat the Chiefs? Come on, give me something here. Come on, you're inviting me to you're inviting me to Thanksgiving dinner, and you're giving me you're giving me beets. You're not giving me some turkey and some mashed potatoes. Give me something.
Yeah, why are we gonna beat the Chiefs?
Yeah,
it's because we want to win.
Okay,
we got a hunger. We got a different hunger than anybody. We got a hunger like to win. We like to we care about each other.
Right.
We love like giving each other high fives, man. We really passionate about each other. And this city is great. My team, my Bucs love each other, care about each other, and they care about us. And
right.
You can see that. You can see that, man. It's just amazing. And we want to win.
Do you appreciate this Super Bowl more? Let me ask you, what's your name again?
Jake.
Jake, do you appreciate this Super Bowl more than you appreciate the first one?
I appreciate both of them.
Okay.
This one here, gonna look real good next to the first one.
Yeah.
Yes, it will.
This gonna look really, really good next to the first one. This gonna look really good next to the 76 Bucs. And you, Ricky Reynolds, when you played 93, this gonna look good next to when you played. This gonna look next to the first one and the what's the name. Collectively, oh yeah, this will look real good.
Hey Jake, you got a great memory of Mr. Reynolds and his play with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some type of memory of him. What's your best memory, Ricky Reynolds?
Yeah, I was born in '77. That was, I think, before we was made here.
No, 76.
I remember the bench.
Yes.
76. Yeah, I was born in 76. Yeah, I remember Ricky Reynolds. I remember a couple passes you made. I can't remember the team. All I know is we won the game, man. And I saw you when you made those plays. You look like Derek Brooks when you made them.
Well, all right.
Derek Brooks like you, and you made those plays. You ran it in the touchdown. I was like, wow. I saw it on the film. And I was just amazed that I said, man, I told my mom, I said, man, look at Ricky Reynolds, man, that I look at every day on 13 on our, what is it? Tailgate Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one that ran that thing. That's the one that ran that ball in.
And now he's on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web Live on Bucs Reports. So
well, he knows a little bit. He knows a little bit what he's talking about.
I love this show too, Peter. Y'all, I really love this right here, man. You know, we're gonna be the first team to ever play in our stadium to host that. That is incredible. For me, I'm 43 years old, man, and it's like I'm like 20 years old. I'm like a kid. Like this is amazing. Then nobody's never done this but us.
Yep.
And we want to be. And we want to be that team.
Well, I tell you what, Jake, what you should do is you should come down to the Deck Bar and Grill. We'll get you on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You can tailgate with us. You can eat some great food, have some great service. I'm serious. Come out there. We'll get you ready for Bucs versus the Chiefs. All right, boss?
Yeah. You know what? I wonder, you know what I'm amazed at? I wonder what we're going to have on.
Oh, well, that's
my brother said. My brother said we should put on the throwback.
Well, no, we ain't gonna wear.
No,
we're not gonna wear the throwbacks. Let me ask you, Ricky. Let me ask you, Ricky, real quick. Jake, stand by. Ricky, would you go with throwbacks there with the creamsicle? I mean, to me, you go with the whites and the pewters, and that's what they're gonna wear. The Chiefs wear the red. And the Bucs are going to wear white and pewter. So,
keep with what got you there. Where what got you there. So, you know.
You know what though? I was saying something really cool, like half throwback, half pewter, white pewter. Wouldn't that be cool? Like half and half. We make the jersey.
Yeah, you're doing too much there, Jake. Let me go ahead and fire those.
No. Yeah. No. I was just saying. I was thinking something really cool, but I know we can't do that. We're gonna come. We're gonna represent you, Ricky. And man, I appreciate you so much. And when we win this game by 3 touchdowns or more,
wow, 3 touchdowns.
All right, Jake. I hear you.
All right, I already see it. My spirits is high, and I can hear it. My team. I love you, Ricky Reynolds. I love all.
All right. Appreciate you, Jake.
All right, Jake.
I want us to get it and go, Bucs.
All right, let me go ahead and fire the cannons right there, and I'll give him a Ric Flair wool right there.
Have a nice day. I'm watching this show.
All right, appreciate you. There you go. Good stuff there. 3 touchdowns. I think it's a little bit closer than that, Ricky. I don't know. Jake was really high. He was
they do have a guy named Patrick Mahomes over there. He does score a few.
Exactly. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. Lots of calls tonight. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds. Yours truly on the Sports Web, the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Peter Blake? This is Blackie. How you doing,
Blackie,
Ricky?
where you been, man? Where you been all my life? I haven't heard from you in a while. How do you feel? Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in Super Bowl 55 versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
We are, and I'm excited. I've had some health issues, but I'm coming out of it. I'm feeling good, and the Bucs have helped me, by winning, and so here we go. Let's get excited.
Yeah, God bless you, buddy, getting out of those health problems, but you're coming out of it at the right time. I'm going to ask fans tonight, does this mean more to you, in your opinion, this Super Bowl run, more than the first one, in your opinion?
My opinion is similar to Ricky's. I don't think that it really means more. I appreciate it, and I'm glad that we're here. But winning the first one, that's special. You can only win the first one time. And to me, that one will always be my favorite Super Bowl. I don't care how many we win. It's that first one was just magic. And but we're gonna win this one. I think that we've got to shut down Hill, because I think Ricky touched on it. Once we made adjustments, we shut him down after the first quarter.
Sure.
And so now we know what to do. And I think we do that and shut him down. Mahomes is a great quarterback, but he does depend on Hill. And if you take Hill away, then you force him to make other choices. And the defense is just too solid right now. If we can get Winfield back, with Vita Vea back, I just think that the defense is going to win this for us.
So you like the defense? You like the defensive matchup with that back end? You also like Vita Vea back? I mean,
I do. And you talked about Sean Murphy bunting earlier. I mean, he's peaking at the right time. He's playing great football. Carlton Davis is solid. I mean, I just don't see really a weakness. I mean, I think Ricky said something about it earlier. The atmosphere has become one of winning, and everybody has stepped up. Even someone, Donovan Smith, he's been inconsistent all season, but in the playoffs, I think he's played a lot better. And I think that's Brady bringing that attitude into the locker room, and, think of yourselves as winners, and you're going to be winners. And that's been the biggest change, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about the offensive line. This will be Blackie here, Ricky. Are you surprised of how well this offensive line has really come together? We talked about it all season. Donovan Smith was a big-time key. He has inconsistencies, but when he gets his technique together, he could definitely be a very opposing left tackle in this league, right?
Well, it doesn't surprise me.
I'm definitely surprised by it, because he was very inconsistent throughout the year. He would play some great games, but then he would have, a couple of games in a row where he wasn't so good. And so for him to turn around and be as consistent as he has been in the playoffs has been a big surprise, a big pleasant surprise. And we just need him to do it one more time. Hold his end up, with the rest of the guys, and keep Brady off the ground, and if they do that, they'll have a shot.
What's more surprising you, Blackie and Ricky, you both can answer this, the offensive line play or the back end play of this team? Blackie, go.
I would say the offensive line.
Okay.
The defense, you saw as the season progressed, they just got better and better. And that back end started shutting people down. And the offensive line has had some inconsistencies. There were games where too much pressure got on Brady and the run game wasn't there. And now they have come together. They're playing like they want to win, and they're winning. And in every phase of the offense, you see the running game's gotten better, the passing game has gotten better, and it starts with them. And they've got the talent. It was just inconsistencies that they had to clean up.
What are you more surprised by, the back end or the offensive line?
I agree with Blackie that it's the offensive line. Like you said, the running game has improved. The overall play of the passing game has helped, and it helps the defense because it keeps them from being on the field. I think the secondary has definitely gotten better at making more plays, but they're still giving up some here and there as well. But the offensive line has been pretty steady, pretty solid, and I definitely put my hats off to them for being as consistent as they have been throughout these playoffs.
All right, Blackie, what else?
That's it, man. I'll give somebody else some time. I had to call in and let you know I'm back and that I'm here. And even if we don't get to fire the cannons, I think being at home, they know they're playing at home.
Yeah.
And they can take away whatever they want to take away, but the Bucs know they're at home, and they're going to have that familiarity with the field. And,
right.
And I just think that's going to be a key to the game is we're playing at home.
Right. Well, Blackie, I tell you right now, I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad that your health is getting better. God bless you, my friend. Don't be a stranger on the Evolution. And just because they can't fire the cannons at Raymond James Stadium during Super Bowl 55 doesn't mean we can't here on the Sports Lab. I'm going to go ahead and give you that right there. And I'll give you a woo right there from Ric Flair. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you, Blackie. All right.
Thanks, Ricky.
All right, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Good stuff there. One of the main web heads that we missed him for a long while, and that would be Mr. Blackie Lawless here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds. Let's go back out to the phone lines. One of my main web heads here, Mr. Johnny Dean, the Professor. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going, Peter?
Going great, buddy.
How's it going, Ricky?
I'm good. How are you, John?
I want to ask you a question, man. I want to make you the defensive coordinator, okay?
All right.
And I want to know how you would take away that outside run or screen game that teams usually use against us pretty effectively. How would you? Because it's mostly because of our speed or attacking the ball. They're going inside so fast they leave that outside open. How would you adjust the team to cover that?
Outside run, and you said screen game. Screen game is yeah. The screen pass out to the wide receiver.
Yeah, it's usually a delayed play, so that our defense is usually running past their blockers.
Okay, I got you. Like a running back slipping out or something like that. A lot of that is recognized, because most teams watch film, they study, and they kind of game plan, and you watch and see how these guys set these things up, and many times there's either a linebacker, defensive back, or somebody that's keying on the running back or tight end or whoever's running the screen, and so the linemen have to get a feel for what's going on, because most of the time, the offensive line just don't let you run by them. They'll come and block you for a little bit, but they let you go, and so so a lot of times these guys have to kind of recognize that, along with whoever's covering that receiver that's getting the screen, and then once the guys recognize it, they got to shoot and know that it's a screen, and go make that play right away and quickly. And that's what the biggest part of stopping that is just play recognition, by how you study and prepare, for that particular play. And you just have to know what's going on. And especially if Kansas City is the team, or whatever team you're playing, if they're a team that's known to run screens, that's something that you really game plan for and you look out for, and that helps you to stop it. Defensively, with the outside runs, you usually have to, whoever has outside contain he's number one. He can't get pinched inside at all, or boxed in. He has to fight to try to get outside, to try to turn that play inside, and then the linebackers have to flow inside out and be able to get there. but the key guy is whoever is the outside man. They're the ones that have to go and wreck the play and force that play to go back inside. And if they lose containment, that's when things kind of fall apart a little bit. And that's the negative part of sometimes of football is when guys don't do their jobs right. Sometimes a lot of these defensive end guys, if the offense is getting them inside and making big plays, then they want to tend to, let me go make this play. I can get down there and get them, and then they go slipping trying to make the play that's running inside, and all of a sudden, they're not doing their job and allowing the running back to bounce outside of them. So he has to do his job first and get upfield and make the running back go inside versus outside.
There you go. Answers your question.
I noticed last week the Packers really like to run those plays, and we kind of shut them down. I was wondering if Vita Vea had a lot to do. I'm pretty sure he did because he was blowing up that interior.
Yeah, how much of an impact, Ricky, do you think Vea made on that defensive line? Because once again, it was different, was it not? I mean, I get it. The Packers didn't necessarily have their best offensive lineman in a Bakhtiari, but the pressure from the outside, it certainly seemed like with Vea back there, it takes the pressure off of a Sue, it takes the pressure off of a JPP and a Shaq. How much of an impact did you think he made on Sunday again?
Well, it's a huge impact because he's a guy, he's a big guy, and he doesn't get moved, And so when the offensive line fires off, and with some of the other guys in there, they're able to push those guys a little bit and, maybe push them, off to the left, to the right, or move them back a little bit. Whereas Vita Vea, you're not moving them, And so if you're not moving him, he's in the way, And so you either got to, cut inside of him, cut outside of him, or go somewhere else. But you're not going through where he's at because he's just a big physical guy, and he's not gonna be moved. And then the other thing is, by doing that, it allows the linebackers to run. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. If the linebackers are able to run, sideline to sideline, that frees them up to be able to make plays. And if a D lineman is getting pushed back, now sometimes he's getting pushed back into the linebackers to where they can't flow. So, Vita Vea is a guy that makes a huge impact for our defensive line, because he's just physical. He's a beast in there.
Let me ask you, Johnny, because this has been the question of the night. Do you appreciate this Super Bowl more than the first one the Bucs had?
More?
Yeah.
Yes. You know why?
Okay.
Because we didn't sell the farm for this one.
Okay.
We didn't put our draft future in check because for the Super Bowl. We're sitting at a point where we can go to multiple Super Bowls. And I know those aren't guaranteed, but what I'm saying is our foundation is a lot more solid right now.
Sure.
And we can continue to grow instead of regressing.
I also think it comes down to adversity. There's been a lot more adversity in this season. I get it. The first one, you fire Tony Dungy, you have a new coach, you give up those draft picks, but you really don't have that adversity. This year, you have the pandemic, you have a new quarterback learning a new offense. You're not even sure if you're going to have a season or not. You get off to a slow start, then it's kind of fast, then you're at 7-5, and a lot of people are thinking, is this offense going to come together? You bring in all these new players. That's where I think the fans kind of should appreciate this one. I'm not saying your first time isn't your best time, but this one, besides yours truly, maybe some other people saying Super Bowl or bust, a lot of people didn't think this was necessarily going to be able to come together so quickly, right?
Yeah. And being at home,
yeah,
it's got to be like. And you know what? There's a whole generation that didn't even see the first Super Bowl. So this Super Bowl is going to be this is going to be their first Super Bowl for the Bucs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for the fans, it's got to be at the top. As far as I'll equal them, man. As far as both, I'm just as thrilled for this as the last one was. But as far as I look at the team and where the team is standing now as opposed to where it was then, I appreciate this one more because I've always wanted a dynasty. I wanted a dynasty when Ricky was on the field.
Right.
I've always wanted a dynasty with this team. and I see a chance at having that. And that doesn't isn't just because Brady's here. That's 3 years, right, at the most. But what I'm saying is the youth and the skill level on this team right now is set to go.
Yeah. And basically what you learned today from in care of WDAE when Brady-Arians was asked about retiring after the Super Bowl, guys, were you surprised by the response? No, I want to come back and win a second one. Were you surprised by that, Ricky? And then Johnny, you can go.
No, I wasn't surprised. I think, he's at the point where he knows he has, Tom Brady. Tom wants to hang in there for, a couple more years. And he has a chance to win another one. He has a great team behind him. And he's probably real comfortable with the situation. He probably doesn't have as much pressure on himself where he's, running the offense and this and that. He can, has delegated so much to his coaching staff to where it's probably more enjoyable for him. Mm-hmm. And so I'm definitely not surprised that he wants to hang around for a couple more years.
Johnny, what about you?
In step with Ricky on that.
Okay. All right, buddy. What else?
That's it. Oh, I do want to tell you, I'm picking the Bucs in this, and I'm picking the Bucs because I friggin' want to. I don't have any other reason.
Well, it's about time, but I tell you right now, Johnny Dean, the professor, he's been a guy, the voice of reason that said, you know what? It may not necessarily work all out because of the new offense and everything, but boy, you can't put a price on heart, and you can't put a price on how much Tom Brady meant to this organization. So good stuff, my friend. Johnny Dean, definitely don't be a stranger. Keep on calling the Sports Web. All right, boss?
All right, bud. Later.
All right, later. Let me go ahead and give him a fire advantage right there. Woo! Right there. I know they love that. I love to hear that. Let's go out to the webheads, and then we got to get you out of here. But really quick before I forget, Joe Theismann had some comments this week. He believes that there's really not going to be a home field advantage if the Bucs are playing in their own stadium. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do, just because of the fan base. I mean, that's what the home field thing is all about, is having those fans behind you and cheering and making noise, making it difficult for the opponents, that 12th man, on the field. And you don't have that, in a Super Bowl, and especially right now during the pandemic. You're only going to have so many fans out there anyway, so I don't think it's a big advantage at all.
Is there a distraction, in your opinion, for this team because they're in their hometown and you really don't have to travel anywhere, or isn't it an advantage to be in your hometown?
Well, I think it is an advantage, just simply because, when you're in a new city and you're say New Orleans, for instance, and you're playing the Super Bowl, sometimes the guys want to go out and, see things and, hang out a little bit just to get a little taste of what it's all about. But, in your own city, you just, I think it's just different because you already kind of know, what's going on, and you've already been around the city, and it's nothing new, so you can really just sit back and kind of focus in on the game and not worry about everything that's going on around you.
All right, let's go back out to the webheads, and then we'll get you out of here. Great interview from former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds tonight on the Evolution. So let's see here. Benny says, I hope Scotty did not give locker room material. Read that. Eric says, NFL said no cannon fire. Is that true? I say we earned a trip to home field Super Bowl, and we are the home team. So what the hell? I call shenanigans. No cannon fire. Why not? Too much of an advantage? Come on, NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they don't want it to be like it's their home field, So it's the first time, so they don't know how to handle it.
We continue the streak of wearing white and hopefully keep up the streak of winning in white. Russ says, Mr. Reynolds, much respect to you. Watched you play in '87 in Tampa against San Fran. My first Bucs game I attended. Was that '87 or was that a little bit later? I thought it was '89.
We played them quite a bit, and it's probably '89. I think there might have been a '91. I had a big game. I think it said '91 or so, '92, somewhere around there.
That was at the old sombrero, the big sombrero.
Yeah.
Remember, It wasn't on TV, but I was listening to Gene Deckerhoff because most of the games that were at home at that point were all blacked out. I mean, that's
that's
the
true.
difference. That's what people don't understand is Bucs games at home during those times were blacked out, so disappointing.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Benny says that this one is special as the 79 playoff run. Eric says, no Schwartz, no Fisher. Hello, people. This KC offensive line or lack thereof might be the key to the game. Big time loss with Eric Fisher, the left tackle. Is that an advantage to this defensive line?
I would think so, unless their backup is that good. You got JPP and Barrett coming off that edge. That can be a huge advantage. Put some quick pressure on Mahomes.
All right, good stuff. Let's keep on reading these comments. So Schwartz is their right tackle. Of course, Fisher, their left tackle. True leadership is to bring people up to a high level. Russ says, Mr. Reynolds, should the Bucs play less zone coverage to be successful in the Super Bowl?
No, not necessarily. They need to just continue to mix it up. You have to be careful, like you said, if you're playing man, you have to make sure that you're covering up Tyreek Hill because you don't want to, you don't want him to beat you deep, So you got to be real smart on what you do with that situation, man and zone.
All right, let's go out to Russ again. Mike Edwards is a stud. Play him. What did you think of his play? I mean, they really didn't miss a beat. You thought that missing an Antoine Winfield will be a bigger impact, but it really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten a lot of reps during the course of the season. He's rotated in at times with Winfield, so it was nothing for him to get in the game and to play. He they didn't miss a beat at all. He did a great job.
All right, the truth says TB to AB for touchdowns will win Super Bowls, make BA smile, and BB live in denial, go Bucs. Tom says Vita Vea game changer. Jeremiah says, God bless them Bucs. I know what you said. What's up with OJ? No word on OJ Howard and his injury situation, so I haven't heard anything. Heard Eli Manning coming out of retirement and joining the Giants. I have not heard that. I love you guys. Love you too. Benny says our defense needs to have cover sacks. That is the DB cover the receiver so long as it allows the sack. Did you see a lot of that on Sunday versus Green Bay? And could you see that versus KC? Or once again, are you going to have to bring some of that pressure from the blitz? And do you blitz on a Mahomes?
You can. Yeah, you definitely can. You just got to make sure that you cover the receivers early, so that he has to hold the ball and allow the blitz to get there. And if you time it up right, you can smash him in the face for sure.
All right. Alex says 2 fumbles, 1 recover. That's absolutely right. You can says real Bucs fans know that this is Team Jameis, the Team Jameis built. Okay. Smile. I'm going to go ahead and say that right there. You can. Delusional Bucs fans. You can. Again, let's never forget Jameis Winston, who made us believe we could reach a Super Bowl. Alex, the Packers underestimated the Bucs twice. Johnny says Scotty's definitely the fastest player on the team. Alex says I seriously think the mistakes were made out of a lack of respect, possibly just by players, maybe the coaches as well. Tony says Davis not fast enough to play one-on-one with Hill. Johnny Dean again watching the Chargers at Bucs replay. I forgot Shady got hurt in that game. I concur, says Jeremiah. Johnny Dean again. Where is the old YouTube gang? Have no idea. Alex says she knows what a sack is. She does now. Brandon. Willow put Miller on Hill. Joking, not joking. Brandon says, what's a sack? Laugh out loud. Tim says, what's a Super Bowl? Super Bowl. You guys are being jerks right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Brandon says, fire those cannons for the sack. We shall do that. Alex, what's a foosball, Bobby? You're doing the Waterboy. What are your favorite movies, Waterboy?
Oh, Waterboy. Yes, sir.
Best Bobby Boucher.
What's that?
Do your best Bobby Boucher.
No, I'm not doing no Bobby Boucher.
What did I tune into tonight, says Brandon. Rick says you can. You're kidding, right? Douglas, just block him. Now that's okay. Baha, who is this guy? Brandon says, man, smoking good. Alex says, remember when you had the ball and you did that thing? Alex says, I'm coming, Peter. Okay, good stuff. I guess you're coming to the deck. Very cool. It's Jukebox. Ricky Reynolds is awesome. He is. That's why he joins us every Wednesday night. He'll be on next Wednesday night. He's on to something the pewter with Bruce and Red. Yeah. E-Rock says Winston built, laugh out loud, he built the losing culture. Tony says that the Bucs do beat Kansas City. They say they cheated because the game is in Tampa. The hater out there already saying it a lot. Still bitter about Tampa Bay beating Green Bay. They really wanted Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl against Kansas City, not Green Bay. You agree with that? Did the NFL want Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes more than they want the Bucs and Brady versus the Chiefs, in your opinion? Or is that fans just making up stuff?
I think it's fans making up stuff. The biggest thing would be having Green Bay being able to travel to Tampa. Now you're selling up the hotels and, all the venues and things like that because, all the Buccaneer fans get to stay at home.
Exactly. There you go. Eric has this question, and then we'll get you out of here on this. Mr. Ricky, thoughts on playing the press double team Calvin Johnson approach to Tyreek Hill? I mean, can you do that? But then you have to deal with the McCole Hardman. You have to deal with, of course, Travis Kelce and their other wide receivers and the Sammy Watkins. So could you see them doubling up on a Tyreek Hill?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, most teams double them up. Like you said, you have a corner on top of them pressing him or playing a little bit off, but then you have somebody behind them deep, because if you don't, they'll just, let him run straight down the field because he'll outrun any DB that's out there. So I don't care what team it is. You can have the best corner in the league. He'll run right past them. So you better double him.
All right, good stuff. Ricky Reynolds, former Buccaneer, great. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution, and we'll see you next week, all right?
All right, we'll see you next week.
All right, good stuff there. So let me go ahead and read the rest of these comments. You guys are jokers tonight. Open phone lines. We'll have Brent Allen of the Pewtercast on and my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. And, of course, your phone call, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So where did we stop off at? Let's see here. Okay, Baja. Who is this guy? Man, smoking good. Got to go back to that. Remember when he had the ball and he did that thing? Okay, I read that. Let's see here. Laugh out loud. Tampa Bay was a losing organization before Winston. Blackie says Johnny Dean. E-Rock says, haha, true. E-Rock again. Winston is the best defensive player coming out of Tampa. I'm not going to go there tonight, guys. You guys are really just pushing it, aren't you? That's okay, though. We'll push it here. Pass rush will win us this game along with Tom Brady. A good rushing attack and mistake-free football, but most of it are pass rush, laugh out loud if I can say it. Let's see here. UCAN says, I'm going to take Tampa out of their misery. Tom Brady. Eric Scott says, Mr. Ricky, we read that one. Does anyone think Devin White had Rodgers covered on that third down and Rodgers looked scared to run? Certainly seemed like it. Definitely. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly here on the Advanced Auto Parts Sports Web.
Hey, Peter. It's my name is Greg. I'm a friend of Ozzy the Sports Junkie.
Oh.
I do a podcast with him.
Oh, you do? Okay. So what do you?
I've heard a lot of good things. I was supposed to join you guys a couple of times, but I had to work. But he talks very highly about you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Tell Ozzy the Sports Junkie, don't be a stranger here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web, live on Bucs Report. So what do you think? Bucs and the Super Bowl 55 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Your thoughts?
Well, it's Ozzy the Sports Junkie with Gopher Greg, and I'm Gopher Greg because I went to the University of Minnesota.
Okay.
And I could not be prouder of Antoine Winfield and Tyler Johnson and what they've done this season.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's incredible, and I know you guys said that they didn't miss a beat without Winfield, but I did see some places where Winfield could have helped out with some tackling and getting people in the middle of the field and so on and so on. But as far as your question is concerned, I'm very excited. This is just incredible. Just an incredible feeling for Tampa Bay. I mean, you look at the Rays, the Lightning. You look at even the Rowdies. I mean, it's just too bad that we have to go through this pandemic during all this winning. But we'll take it any way we can get it.
No, I agree. Go for Greg. And I tell you right now, Winfield has made an impact in that back end. In fact, I think he's been one of the most important draft picks in Jason Light's history. You know, people will talk about Jason Light in his drafting. He absolutely nailed this, and I would put him on par with Tristan Wirfs on the offense. You put Tristan Wirfs on that right side, he definitely protected. You upgrade. Winfield, to me, has made this defense more dynamic, and I'm happy to get him back versus the Chiefs. Make no mistake about it. They played well against Green Bay, and that's saying a lot because of that potent offense, but you definitely want to have all hands on deck, and most likely you're going to have Winfield back against the Chiefs, which is a great thing. And then Tyler Johnson, I interviewed this kid out the Outback Bowl when he had the over 200 receiving performance with the one-handed catch. He's a tremendous human being. And even PJ Fleck, who used to coach with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a wide receiving coach, he makes you want to run through a wall for this kid. He talked nothing bad about him, said how great he was, how he went through adverse situations and really overcame that. And if there's an NFL team out there looking for somebody that has not only, you know, the athletic ability and all the skills to get it done in the NFL on top of the mental capacity of coming back to school with a Fleck, he said that they would definitely get a great player. And he was absolutely right with Johnson, with some of the catches he made, especially that big time catch versus the Saints. Who could forget that big time third down conversion? He's made those type of catches. And that's why a lot of Bucs fans, go for Greg, believe that if the Bucs decide to move on without a Chris Godwin, which is not a crazy thing because you're going to have a lot of wide receivers and a lot of money devoted to that position.
True.
You could get away with the Johnson at that situation.
Well, yeah, and Ozzy and I were at the Outback Bowl, and you can't tell me that there wasn't a Buck exec in the in the press box.
You know there was. I mean, even if you watch it on TV, you look at that catch, you look at his personality, and then you talk about with him going through multiple coaching staffs. And any kid, you know, you look at Jalen Hurts, not to take it away. Jalen Hurts wasn't starting. He transferred to Oklahoma. Here's a kid who had another coaching staff, decided to stay on board, go through it. A lot of questions about his size, a lot of questions about his speed, but Johnson continued to produce at the University of Minnesota, and it was an important cog and a reason why that university and that program turned around because of players like a Johnson and, of course, an Antoine Winfield. And you wonder why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are so successful this year, getting two players like that were so important to that program and bring them into your locker room and having them basically make impacts like they've had. That's the reason why you're looking at a Super Bowl team, in my opinion.
Well, and Arians even said about Johnson is that he's not big, he's not quick, but he catches the ball, and Tom likes him. So,
yeah, absolutely,
as
absolutely.
long as he can get open and catch the ball, that's all that matters.
That's it.
And that's the kind of receiver that Tom likes, too.
Sure, absolutely. So.
Well, I'll let you go, and I'm enjoying the show, and I'm sure I'll meet you somewhere down the road. And I'll say hi to Ozzy for you.
Absolutely. Bring Ozzy with you if you guys want to come out for Super Bowl Sunday at the Deck Bar and Grill. We'll be ready to get you on the evolution of sports talk television. Don't be a stranger. Go for Greg, all right?
All right, I won't. Thanks, Peter.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you right there. Let me go ahead and get one. Because that's what we do on the Evolution. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Okay, I will read the comments, and then we're going to get out to Brent Allen. Brent Allen, I'm so sorry, but sometimes you just can't control it. You have Ricky Reynolds on. You got all these phone calls and all these questions, and I just want to make sure that I make everybody happy and not neglect my webheads out there. So that's a great question there. We'll ask Brent that when he comes in. The Bucs #1. Brandon says, watch out for the wheel route. Gerardo, I guess he's putting up flags. Okay, bandwagon, Bucs bandwagon. That's okay. This is brutal for Ricky to answer these questions. He's being nice about it because he's a nice guy. I don't think it's brutal at all. Here's a real question. Why can't we fire the candidates during the Super Bowl? We talked about that home field advantage. Double V was huge with all of our sacks came from 4 people rushing. Coffin says, if we're in trouble, that's okay. We can pull it out because we know we're on the top. When we stand up and shout. Buccaneers. Hey, Tampa Bay, the Bucs know how to shine. Hey, USA, the Bucs know how to shine. Well, I feel like I'm singing right now. I'm not doing this, Coffin. You can. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that Ron Burgundy thing. Down the Chiefs. Coffin says, here come the Scallywags. I think most of the med workers will be from Tampa Bay area, plus most of the fans will be rooting for the home team. Let's go out to Willow here. Yes, they will have an advantage due to all the locals that are getting free tickets. Matt Nagy says, hi. Okay, Matt Nagy's back here. Bruce Arians is one of the least racist head coaches, black special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. All right. He's giving guys opportunities. I don't want to use that word. Ricky, honor to watch you on the show, brother. Johnny Dean says Texans hire Ravens assistant coach, wide receiving coach as their new offensive coordinator. Now it's a new head coach. Oh, really? Oh, wow. When did that break? Okay, David Culley. That's not going to make Deshaun Watson happy, I don't think. And once again, Eric Bieniemy gets passed over. I hated that too. I grew in Orlando, couldn't see the crap because of the blackouts. Ryan again. Don't forget that Brady is 1-0 against Mahomes and must-win games or go-home games. Brady easily with his 7th. Ryan says, how do you like that zing I did on your co-host talking about Stafford not being able to take the Bucs to the playoffs? Laugh out loud. Eric says, if Whitehead is out, I don't think there's a huge drop-off in talent if we replace him with Edwards, but Edwards is usually a free safety. Cristobal, it is Chris from Oklahoma, Kansas City Chiefs fan. Very cool. Welcome to the evolution. Put Scotty on Hill. Very funny. Tim says, I don't know what the NFL wanted. I'd be willing to bet that State Farm wanted Rodgers versus Mahomes. Khalif says, should we put Scotty Miller on the cheetah? No, of course not. Don't put him. He can't play defense. Stop it. Stop being dumb. I heard Mahomes has turf toe. Dio is coming back to play for Tampa. 1-game contract just for Hill. Laugh out loud. Dion. Oh, Dion. Okay. Well, there you go. I don't know who the hell Dio is. I know who Dio is as a rock singer, but Dio, Dion. Golden Gophers are welcome down in Tampa. Ryan says Brady pulled me closer to more Super Bowl exposure, raised the MVP award as he hoisted it on our shoulders. Gronk, more fun when he's not sober. Bucs time 12. The matchup is similar to the Packers. We're about equal in offense and better on defense than the Chiefs. We need to be money physical team. Ryan says there's one man in sports you do not bet against. It's Max, the Cliff, Patrick Kellerman, Eric Moreno. Hey, should we be concerned about Levante David? It says a hamstring on injury report. I haven't heard anything about that, so I'm not concerned yet. Johnny Dean is at the last coaching opening to be filled. Eric Moreno, he played 100% of the snaps. Coffin says Hardy Nickerson sighting an Ebor this afternoon. 2 weeks to recover should be good. Eric Moreno, 11 days till the Super Bowl. Yes, it was. Eric Moreno, again, maybe just a sore hamstring. So is Watson staying. No idea if he's going to stay or not. Johnny Dean, undetermined, but still wants out, and the trade price is still out there for him. Eric Moreno, any concern on Levante David's injury? Says hamstring. Are you concerned? No, not yet. Eric B. can only be interviewed. He can't be hired until after the Super Bowl. Someone is waiting to fire their coach so they can hire him. So let's go out to Brent Allen here of the Pewtercast. Welcome to the Evolution. Lots of comments tonight. And of course, you had to follow former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds. But how do you feel about this when I say it? Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in Super Bowl 55 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Has it hit you yet, Brent?
Oh my gosh, Peter. I remember where I was when they got in the Super Bowl in 2002. This is another one of those seminal moments. I will forever remember where I was, who was around me, the feel of the carpet, the feel of the couch. It's amazing. Yes, it's hit me. I mean, we're in the Super Bowl. We're in the Super Bowl. We're in the Super Bowl, guys. We're in the Super Bowl. Our Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. Oh my gosh. But it just, look, guys. You know what I'm struggling with as a fan is not just jumping ahead and assuming that we win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, in my head, we've already won it. I got to be honest. Like, it's just, we've already won the Super Bowl. Like, we're coming home with a Lombardi trophy. Yeah, we still got to go play the game. Like, that's just a formality at this point. We've already won it. In my head, like, that's where I am. It's not the right spot to be, I'm sure, but that's just where I am. So, Holy crap. And man, this 2 weeks is going to be a long time. It's
Yeah,
going to be a long wait to get through, guys.
I mean, to me, it's gone fast. The first 3 days have gone fast. Of course, I work until 5:30, and doing the show on Monday and Wednesdays, I'm looking forward to it because I want to see how people are reacting to it. But you're exactly right. You feel good about the situation because, namely, you have a Tom Brady. Talk about his impact in your opinion, because you hear a lot of fans say, well, it wasn't just Tom Brady. It was everybody. I get it. It was everybody else on the team. But Tom Brady doing what he's done at 43 years old, 40 touchdowns, playing at a high level, and even with the 3 interceptions, you definitely have confidence in that fourth quarter that he's going to be able to close it out and you're going to win that game, right?
Yeah, I do. And I think I think what really got me with Tom Brady was a couple of weeks ago, they had him mic'd up, and I'm watching the video and I'm paying attention to how he's talking to everybody, and he's not just giving them all right, hey, keep your head up. Hey, we're going to get one. Hey, let's go win a game. It was none of that. He was going around saying, hey, let's play clean football today. No mistakes today. Nobody jumping off sides. Nobody false starting. Play clean. Like he was going that route with it, and I mean, you guys talk so much about Jameis in the last segment. I'm scared to bring him up, but you can't talk about Brady without comparing him to Jameis. I think in some ways, when you're talking about what's the difference, everybody talk about how Jameis was a leader. That's great, but every time I heard him mic'd up, it was always the let's go get him guy. Whereas Brady's here talking about the fundamentals, the little things, the tight things, and the things we've heard about Brady from like BA and Jason Light and these guys over the last bunch of days about how, we all remember Brady getting the guys back together during the offseason saying, let's go out and meet at this high school. And all of these things are coming back around. Like the Brady effect is real, but he is an exacting person. And we can all read his lips when he's displeased with a play, and we know exactly what he's saying, and we see what he's doing as he's going over. And that's the kind of stuff that I think tips the scales, because look, largely this team is the same as it was last year, right? Handful of changes, small handful of changes. But largely it's the same. And I remember saying going into the offseason when everybody was like, what do you keep James? Should you resign somebody else? Keep James. And I was always on the idea of, I want long-term stability. I don't want to sign a 2 or 3 year person. I want some sort of long-term stability. So whether that's sell the farm and draft Joe Burrow or sign Jameis to a 20-year contract, I don't care. I just give me long-term stability is what I was looking for. And then I said, except when you look at Mike Evans, who's in year 7, Ali Marpet in year 6, we look at Levante David moving into year 11. We look at these pieces that are around. We've got Chris Godwin, and we've got the secondary. We've got all these things. Devin White's now in. We have all these things. If Jason Light and Brady-Arians looked at each other in the face and honestly said, this is a Super Bowl winning roster if we get the right quarterback in. If that's the change, then go sign whoever you have to sign. Sign Tom Brady for 2 years. That's fine. Go get the trophy now. And that's what they did. And the Bucs are in the Super Bowl. Right. It works.
It's amazing, right?
It works.
And we're on with Brent Allen of the Pewtercast here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For all your auto parts needs, it's Advanced Auto Parts. You're exactly right. And you kind of heard that in Arians' comments last year with, we're going to win any way it goes because we have the defense. And now you can see what he's been talking about. Man, oh man, Vita Vea. I know you like to talk about him because he's a big guy and he just is a monster in that middle. I mean, how much of an impact, Brent, has he been, and how much is he going to be an impact in that game versus?
You know what that is?
Chiefs.
Peter, what's this right here?
That's a big hand.
What's this? Yeah, it's a big hand, but what is this? This is the number of sacks.
Yes.
Between JPP and Shaq Barrett once Vita Vea got back.
Right.
Against Aaron Rodgers. Against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Who doesn't get sacked, right? You talk about the impact of Vita Vea. It was huge. Look, Nacho did an admirable job filling in for Vita. Nacho's not Vita.
No.
Will Golston has been playing some of the best football of Will Golston's career. Will Golston is not Vita. Will Golston, we talk about Shaq Barrett. Why hasn't he gotten the sack totals that he did last year? What's been going on? Well, Vita's not been there. Now, yeah, they're doing all this crazy stuff where they're dropping him and JPP back into coverage on some plays and different things like that. But for the most part, Vita's not picking up a center and setting him in the lap of the quarterback. He's not trapping the quarterback in the pocket so the other guys can get to him. So I think that's a lot, and Shaq's been right there, right? Because he's been so highest pressured defensive end in the league, right? Mm-hmm. Or not defensive end, outside, whatever they're calling them these days. Outside linebacker, right? He's getting all the most pressure. He's barely missing them. Well, Vita's the difference there, right? Mm-hmm. Vita is the difference. And I wonder how much money Vita Vea's injury has cost Shaq Barrett, as he's going to be looking for that new contract this offseason. I don't know. I don't know. Vita or Shaq's going to go out with, what's he at? Does he have 11 sacks now, I think, on the season?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's not something to shake a stick at. Like, that's still pretty good. You know what I mean? But I mean, Vita coming back at the right time, the absolute right time. Winfield's going to get healthy. I think Whitehead's going to be a question mark. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to play and probably shouldn't, is going to be his status if I had to guess. But I mean, it just, look, this defense is clicking what it needs to click. I can't fully explain what happened in the middle of the season when things kind of got a little weird for a couple of games. But, listen, this team, I sent out this as a tweet earlier this year or earlier this week. A lot of people looked at the 11-5 record and they went, yeah, but you only beat one winning team or one team with a winning record in the regular season. Mm-hmm. So that's not really going to carry you. And then they looked at the 4-game win streak that we had to end the season. And yeah, but that was against some really bad teams. And that's not really going to carry momentum into the off season, and now we're sitting here walking into the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, I'm reminded of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson going, "It doesn't matter what you think," because it doesn't. Because you know what? It did carry over into there it is. And to quote my friend Scott Reynolds, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And honestly, that goes back to Ric Flair. So you can hey that woo again. There it is. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And look, you know what? The Buccaneers went in, and when it really counted, they beat the division champions, the bullies of our division in the NFC South, the Saints.
Yeah.
They went in, and guys, listen, let's not face it. Green Bay this year has played better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a reason they were the number 1 seed. There is a reason they're the best team in the NFC in the conference, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat them when it really counted.
Yes. And that's what people are not looking at. Some people weren't looking at. They were saying, well, it was during the season. They can't do it again. And their defense absolutely stepped up. What are you more surprised by? Because we talked in the offseason and we put out the questions, and the questions were, the offensive line, namely Donovan Smith. What's your biggest surprise? This offensive line stepping up, or this defense stepping up at the right time, or both of them stepping up? Because it's been unbelievable. We talked about Donovan Smith early, had his rough game versus the Saints. There's still some question marks. Then you see the offensive line, they have an injury to Alex Kappa right before the playoffs. So people go, oh no, not again. What are you more surprised by? The offensive line stepping up or the defense stepping up at the right time?
Not the defense, because this is the defense that we knew. Now it seems like when Todd Bowles wants to, go play zone, play soft, that when Todd Bowles puts them in a weird situation, things don't tend to go well, right? But when he plays them right, this defense can do some stuff, and he's been playing them right. And I can't explain why they went with various schemes earlier in the year. Those didn't work. But whatever he's been dialing up over the last, 7 weeks, it's been working. Yeah. And I'm not surprised by that, because we saw it work last year, right? This defense is packed out. The offensive line, and specifically, you just mentioned his name, Donovan Smith, because, Peter, I got to tell you, roundabout week 3, I was beginning to ask the question and put this out there. Hey, is it too early to just say that left tackle is our number 1 need going into the offseason? And a lot of people were like, yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. Or, well, maybe not, because there's some other things going on. Listen, left tackle's not, I don't know that left tackles are a top 5 need right now heading into the offseason. Not with the way Donovan's been playing. He has stepped up, and my hat's off to the man. What I just find so funny is when he after he had that big, was it the Green Bay game or maybe it was I think it was after the Saints game, he did a press conference and they asked him like, hey, so what's the difference? Like, why have you stepped up? And his answer is like, oh, I just kind of been playing the way I've always been playing. I just thought it was just me. Like, no, something has changed, Donovan. Something's changed. Now, I don't know if that's Harold Goodwin getting up your butt or if it's the Brady effect or what. I don't know, but I like it. Yeah. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. And we got Brent Allen of the Pewtercast on here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Here's something to think about. Do you appreciate this Super Bowl run more than the first one? And of course, I get it. It comes down to if the Bucs winning or not. But you got to appreciate this one more. And my point is, you had the pandemic. You have a first-year quarterback. You have a lot of big-time questions and obstacles with COVID overall. Yeah. So do you appreciate this one more than the first run?
As far as Super Bowl runs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally do because I became a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 1998. I didn't have the 20 years prior to that of losing with a couple of peaks with Doug Williams and those guys back then. I didn't have that as my base. I came in when I was a bandwagon fan. It's why I don't mind bandwagon fans. Come on, jump on when everything's going good. Just don't jump off.
Right.
Just don't jump off. Everybody's welcome. Plenty of room on the ship. Just don't jump off, So I don't mind bandwagon fans as far as that goes. But I didn't have the appreciation. Also, I got to tell you, Peter, I didn't follow this team nearly as close as I do now. Mm-hmm. So yes, in that sense, I very much appreciate this one all the more. The last one, though, like just knowing the history of the team, they really, really worked for that last one. And they got close and then had to go back and do it again, and got close and had to go back and do it again. This one has been, it's been a turnaround, but it's not been the turnaround I think that the records would show.
Mm-hmm.
Because we go from a 5-11 team, a 5-11 team, 7-9 team to an 11-5 team, and now we're in the Super Bowl. We've all said, Peter, I think you would probably agree with me. We've all, for the last 5 years, every single offseason gone, this is a Super Bowl team.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've looked at it, right? For the last 5 years, we've all looked at it gone, the defense is looking good. Yeah. We've got, look how many weapons we have all right. We've got a gunslinger for a guy. Like if you can limit the interceptions, limit the turnovers. And even if you can limit the turnovers, Tom Brady just threw 3 against the Packers. And you know what? The defense stepped up and helped him out.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Now, so they didn't have to do that 3 times every single game like it seemed like in the last year or two. But my point being, this has been, at least from what we could tell over the last bunch of years, a really, really good team. And we would all get to the end of the season and go, how is this team 11-5?
Yeah.
I watched it happen, but I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand how we were 9-7 last year.
I
don't get it. I mean, 33 interceptions, right? That'll get you.
Well, I mean, that's it. That's the turnover situation and that large turnaround. Yeah. And that hasn't happened since 1991. It's like a 26 turnover turnaround, which is amazing, but it tells you how important it is to take care of the ball and
take care of the ball. Yeah. And listen, and I will stand by every word that I said last year and in the years before. Not every single one of those 30 are attributed to the quarterback, but they're going to go on his record. That's how it goes down. That's how they keep the stat, right? And not every single one of the 3 from Brady yesterday or this week were on him, but they're going to go down on his because that's just how it is. And you're right. It's protecting the football. And when the things happen, you have to be able to recover and step up, and you've got to play. That's the part of complementary football I think a lot of people don't remember is you got to have good defense and good offense and good special teams. It's complementary football. Yeah, but part of complementary football is when one part doesn't do what they're supposed to do, the other part steps in to pick them up to give the other side a chance again. You know, when the offense throws that interception, commits a turnover, the defense is going to hold and give the offense a chance to get the ball back and go down and score. When the defense lets somebody get by, the offense is going to go in and get those points back to even it back up on the board or get us back ahead if we need to. That's complementary football. And the Bucs have been playing that for the last bunch of weeks. And they've what the Buccaneers have done in 2020 is they hit their stride at the right time.
Mhm.
They hit their peak at the right time. They didn't peak early in the season. They peaked now. This is when you want the team to peak. And that's a part of, that's, I think, just the situation that you have a new quarterback in. Look, we got into the playoffs, right? Tom Brady had a full season with this team once we went into the playoffs, right? 16 games done. We had a full season. This is like season 2 kind of for him.
It really is. It really
you know
is.
what I mean?
And it's,
you know what I mean?
It's his best time. It's his best time. That's how you feel.
Yeah.
That's why you feel confident, because he's in the postseason.
Yeah.
Did Jason Light get enough credit? Because we talk about Tom Brady and we talk about Brady-Arians and Tom Bowles, but nobody really talks about Jason Light. But you look at the 2018 draft class, you have a Ronald Jones, you had a Vita Vea. You talked about Donovan Smith and Ali Marpet and Mike Evans. Does Jason Light get enough credit for what he has put forth, in your opinion?
No, I don't. I think Jason Light, I think he's starting to.
Okay.
But I don't think in general he does get enough credit. And look, let's call it both. There's been some good picks and there's been some really, really bad picks. There's been some amazing draft classes. The entire 2016 draft class was not good. But here's the thing. We all have the luxury of looking back on these things with 2020 vision. He didn't. He had to look forward. His job was to predict the future, not with something like the weather, but with people. He had to predict how people were going to turn out. And that's hard. That's really tough. I think when you look at his collective body, and not just the draft picks, but you look at the undrafted free agents, the free agents he went out and got, the ability to, here's what I love about Jason Light. If he makes a bad pick, or he makes a bad call, or he does whatever, he's pretty quick to admit it, cut his loss, and move on. And I can appreciate that. You know, when he hired Dirk Cutter, don't forget, Jason Light hired Dirk Cutter. He gave him 2 years, and then listen, let's face it, that last year, Dirk Cutter, there really wasn't anybody out there to go get as far as head coaches. You know, they could have found somebody, but my personal belief, I don't have anything. I think Jason had at least maybe had a few conversations and realized he wanted Bruce Arians. He couldn't get Bruce, so he stayed with Dirk. You know, they gave him that extra chance just to see. But when it all didn't work out and push came to shove, the biggest thing though that Jason Light has done, and this is with the help of Mike Greenberg and all his other people, but it's under Jason Light's tenure, is the work that they have done with the salary cap to keep the Buccaneers in such a healthy situation that, you know what, when they did need some extra money, when they did get into a little bit of salary cap, hey, let's flip some stuff over for Mike Evans, because guess what? He's going to be here. It'll be all right. Hey, let's flip some stuff over for Ali Marpet, because he ain't going anywhere. They put themselves in a position to be able to do things. And I'll never forget Jason Light's look on his face. I want to say it was 2 combines ago. And I think Trevor Sikkema had asked him a question about the salary cap because the Bucs were in I think it was last year. It was with Bruce Arians' first year.
Right.
And Jason Light just he did that like smirky smile out the side of his face. He's like, there's stuff we can do. If there's somebody we want, we'll be okay. And, I look at this upcoming offseason where we've got a lot of free agents coming up. They're going to have to pay out a lot of money, and I'm not really sure where it's all going to come from. I'm just kind of looking at it going, they've got stuff they can do. This isn't a surprise to them. They know Chris Godwin's coming up for his new contract. They know Shaq Barrett's coming up. They know Ndamukong Suh's coming up. They know all these people are coming up. They've made their plans. Nothing's going to take them by surprise. They'll get back the guys they want to get back.
You're exactly right. And you have to have supreme confidence in not only a Light, but a Mike Greenberg, because of how they basically do these contracts, because it gives them the flexibility where they're not in cap hell like the New Orleans Saints. And we're on with Brent Allen of Pewtercast. Go ahead and promote yourself really quick in case they don't know who you are.
Yeah, guys. Hey, listen, the Pewtercast, we've been around. This is our 6th season, something like that, covering the team. We do like so many people these days. We have a post-game live show after party. We take phone calls, video chats. We'll get you a couple more throughout the week. We don't go as hard like Peter does here, and we don't do the TV thing, but you guys can come join our little video feeds out there on YouTube and places like that. Yeah, we have a good time with the show, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store for what we're doing. If you guys want to follow me personally, you find me at Brent Allen Live and some of the other projects I'm working on over there as well.
Absolutely. Got Rendax. Missed that guy. He hasn't been on the show in a while. I know you guys work hard together. You guys done that for a long time. We just kind of put a different spin on it, but it's okay. Everybody doesn't like chocolate and vanilla ice cream. They like Little Rocky Road. So
Peter, I'll say this, and I've said this for years. People will call me and ask me, hey, I'm thinking about starting a new podcast. What should I do? And this is my advice to everybody. That's great. You want to start a new podcast, you want to start a new show, you want to start a new video channel, do it. Find out what other people are already doing and bring something different. Do it in a different way. Bring something new to the conversations. What I like about what you guys are doing over here, where you're reinventing this whole sports television thing for the web. The way you guys you guys got Monday through Friday scheduled out. Like, it's locked. You want something's happening here at Bucs Report every single night of the week. You guys go over there and you can check it out. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Find something new. Do it in a different way. Do something new with all the different guys you guys have. It's really phenomenal. And, the space is just amazing that we have this community of Bucs content creators that we have here.
I love it. I love the web heads, and I love everybody that's a part of it, creating Bucs content, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to just cover the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, by the way, could win the Super Bowl less than 2 weeks versus the Kansas City Chiefs, which is just amazing to talk about. But in order to do that, you got to get through Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. And of course, people look at that game, the first matchup versus the Chiefs, where Tyreek Hill is flipping in the end zone. You talked to Ricky Reynolds about it. You wouldn't expect Carlton Davis to shadow him. You would expect a better game plan, if you will, versus this Kansas City football team next Sunday, right?
I absolutely would. Yes. And if there's a piece that makes me, I think, the most nervous going into the game, it's what's Todd Bowles going to do? What's he going to do? Because here's what we know. If he dials up the right defense, they can shut him down. If he dials up the wrong defense, and it's on the players executing too. But yeah, look, we can't have people doing backflips into our end zone. Not in the Super Bowl, not in our house. Shouldn't have happened during the regular season. Now, listen, I'll remind people, in the regular season, we only lost to them by 3. We hung with them.
Right.
And I don't remember if it was an errant field goal or if it was a missed opportunity here or what it was that put them over. At the end of the game, they were still up, so they won the game. Look, here's my thing. And when I look at these two teams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Kansas City Chiefs, prolific quarterbacks, both got them. Patrick Mahomes is the most exciting quarterback to watch in the NFL right now. He just is. He's amazing to watch. I don't think he's better than Tom Brady.
No,
he doesn't have the resume yet. He could get there. He could get there in about 15 more years. But he's not there yet. But they both have a wonderful, wonderful supporting cast of people around them on the offense. Both teams have amazing weapons up and down the offense. Both teams have defenses that can do their job and do what they need to do and make this a really fun game. In my opinion, Peter, this Super Bowl is going to come down to one thing and one thing only: coaching. It's Bruce Arians against Andy Reid. I think it's going to come down to those two guys. They both have very similar teams. This is going to be a great game, a great game. Who's going to outcoach who? And I think that to me, I think is going to be the biggest factor, because these teams are both really, really good.
You're exactly right. Do you think the difference between this offense, Brent, is the fact of the running game coming alive? They've been more balanced. You look at the game plan versus the Washington Redskins. A playoff Lenny nearly had 100 yards in that game. I think he had over 100 all-purpose yards. Then you look at the Saints game where Jones and him combined for over 100 yards. And then once again, Fournette, 24 carries, 76 yards between Jones and Fournette. So has it been the running game, in your opinion, that's really made this offense even better than they were during the regular season?
I think a running game always makes an offense better. We've all known that, and we know that the league's gone more pass happy. But look, what's been the common thread for the last 7 weeks as well, and that includes all 3 of these last playoff games. We've been playing from in front.
Yeah,
I know that there's a big reason, and there's a very logical reason that if you win the coin toss, you defer, you get the ball in the second half. It's the easiest way to steal a possession. It's the easiest way to steal a score. But when this team is playing from ahead, they tend to run more. They tend to, you know what I mean? They open up these things. So, you know, if they take the ball first and they take the ball early and it puts them out ahead and they can play like that, because the run game is going to be better. And look, there's one series in the game against the Packers where playoff Lenny went to Stonehands Leo, and I was real worried, but he got it back. And playoff Lenny came back, and just even Leonard Fournette, like he's got a hat that has playoff Lenny stitched into the side of it.
That's fun.
So, you know, with him coming on, look, I still believe in Rojo. Rojo hits the hole harder than anybody else, but look, Leonard Fournette's hot right now, and it's hard to not ride the hot hand. So, you know, I don't expect any changes with the running game here over the, you know, going into the Super Bowl than what we've seen the last bunch of weeks. You know, I think it's Leonard Fournette starting. Rojo will come in and spell them, and they'll kind of go back and forth and see what happens. But, I mean, my God, yes. The running game helps 1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the victim of volume in a Ronald Jones, and I feel like, you know, he wasn't as effective versus the Packers. That's why you go with the Fournette, and like you said, it's the hot hand. You go with the hot hand, and right now Fournette is that, and I don't have any problem with that. I have no personal vendetta. Again, I feel like Jones gives you that aspect of when he gets to that second or that third tier, that he's explosive. He has that explosive nature about him. But when you have Fournette, who's running with power and showed some speed and showed some spin, I'm like, where did that come from? It really is interesting because it seems like it's a second season all over again, and guys are just playing at another level. Speaking of playing at another level, Devin White, how much has he meant to this defense? And really, that 5th overall pick, a lot of people were looking at it, and I was one of them saying, you know, I don't know what the Bucs are doing. Man, I'm glad I'm not a general manager, because Jason Light and this organization knew that White was the guy, and he's absolutely been the guy. And in his second year, the sky's the limit for him, right?
Yeah, and look, just since Devin White came back from COVID, Devin White's always been a little suspect in coverage, but he's been on another level just since he's come back from the COVID protocol. But I mean, as an overall, you look at his body of work over the last 2 seasons, you wouldn't know that he's a rookie last year. You wouldn't know that this is just his sophomore year. And, you know, he's got a guy like Levante David as a mentor. And, you know, Devin White is look, we watched plays where I forget exactly who it was. Was it Davis or SMB? I don't know. It was one of those 2 guys. I want to say it was SMB. I don't know. But basically what happened was the wide receiver did like an out route, like went out, and SMB, like the play design, because they did it a couple different times, he then stunted in, and Devin White flew to go get him because Devin White's just that much faster. Like he could just go get that guy. Whereas, you know, SMB might have missed him. But Todd Bowles, they designed that around it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I mean when I talk about coaching. Coaching matters. And, you know, I mean, God, Devin White's just a freak when he gets out there, and man, he gets on his horse and, oh my gosh, he's something else.
He's around the ball all the time. I mean, it's like he's a younger version of Derek Brooks, and I never thought I was going to say that because you don't like to make comparisons because they're asinine. But at the end of the day, if you look at the film when he's going sideline to sideline, he's instinctive. He's just as quick as a running back. He's always off the ball. You saw that turnover that Jordan Whitehead creates. White picked it up, and he's already thinking of going to the house. He's got that running back mentality, which is consequently the position he played at LSU before he went to middle linebacker. And that's saying something, Brent, because he hasn't even had all those reps as a middle linebacker. He's only going to get better.
Yeah. And look, speaking of getting better, think of Devin White as a rookie versus Devin White this year. Like, he was really good as a rookie. He's been better this year.
Yeah.
He's getting better. Like, okay, so he takes another step function next year. Oh my gosh. He takes another step function after that. Oh my gosh. Like this, I mean, it's way too early to christen this guy Hall of Fame. Way too early. But he is on that trajectory. If he can stay on this trajectory, he's on that. Even if he has a down year here or there, he is on that trajectory.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I tell you right now, somebody asked this the other night. I wanted to get your thoughts. Let's say, and I believe the Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs and win the Super Bowl. Does that warrant Tom Brady being in the Ring of Honor? Some people would say, well, Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl, but he's not in the Ring of Honor. But Tom Brady being in the Ring of Honor, you think that happens?
Yes, I do. First of all, it's just good PR. Tom Brady's Tom Brady, so you want to put him in your Ring of Honor? Yes, you do. But look, here's what Tom Brady's done that Brad Johnson hasn't. Tom Brady's broken records. He's been here 1 year and he's already broken team records. He's broken yardage records. He's broken passing touchdown records. He's broken records. He comes in and takes this team out to the Super Bowl. I mean, first year out. Yes, he gets Ring of Honor. Bruce Arians and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of non-players getting into the Ring of Honor very often. We have 4 of our 12 guys that are 12, 13 guys in the Ring of Honor. 4 of them, a quarter of them are not players. That's way too many in my opinion. But Bruce Arians gets in the Ring of Honor. You know, those 2 guys especially. But we also, I mean, God, we have a Ring of Honor. We have a Ring of Honor roster right now in some cases.
Yeah. You really do. You really do. Brent Allen, the PewterCast here, joining us on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For all your auto parts needs, it's Advanced Auto Parts. Let's talk about the coach. Bruce Arians had some comments to WDAE when they asked him if he would come back for a second year. He said, yeah, I want to come back for a second year and win another one. Are you surprised by that? Because a lot of people thought, at the beginning of the year, he would retire if he wins a Super Bowl because of health concerns. So how surprised are you by that?
Surprised is probably the wrong word.
Okay.
I'm not saying that he would retire because of health concerns. The reason why I thought he would retire is because that's what he said he was going to do. Do you remember when he first got hired?
Yeah.
He was talking to somebody in the media. I don't remember who it was or where the situation was, but what he said, he told the Glazers, hey, if I win the Super Bowl in my second year, I'm out. I'm retiring again. He told them that after they got hired. Now we all laughed about it and chuckled and ooh, ha, 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 ha. Well, guess what? He damn near about to do it, Peter.
Yeah.
And I think it's an appropriate conversation to say, hey, Bruce, you kind of said this last year. Do you still mean it? And he goes, hell no, I'm coming back for number 2. Yes. And to all those people who we got to like week 4, week 5, were like, fire Bruce Arians. I'm like, what? What? No. As late as week like 9, 10, people were fire Bruce Arians. I was like, no. He's about to lead us to our first winning season in how long? He's going to get us into the playoffs because we were able to project the playoffs like a long time before they actually happened. He's about to get. They're not firing a coach who just got us in the playoffs.
You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah, exactly. Playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. They're not firing him, and now he's in the freaking Super Bowl. So all y'all can go eat it. Bruce Arians coming back. That's great. If he's having fun, he's having a blast. Do it. Bring him back.
I think what we all go back to during the season is that the media was trying to portray that there was some fracture between Coach Arians and Tom Brady. And that wasn't true at all.
I would caveat that to say the national media
right
was trying to portray, because the local media, at least the respected local media, they have to talk about it because it's a national thing, but I don't think they were trying. In fact, I remember the local media trying to put the kibosh on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give that as a caveat, but you're absolutely right. That became the thing, oh, look, it's Tom Brady. It's not working out. Oh, it's BA's system versus Tom Brady's system. Tom Brady doesn't want to throw the ball down the field, and BA, doesn't want to do short dink and dunk over the middle. Oh, it's not working. Oh, the Bucs are losing. Oh, guys. Oh my God. Oh my, there was no off season. There was no training camp. This is their 3rd game together. Shut up.
Oh, that's great.
Let them play.
That's great.
Oh my God. And you know what? They're in the Super Bowl.
There you
Suck
go.
it.
There you go. Brent Allen of the PewterCast. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution. Go ahead and promote yourself once again.
Hey, listen, you guys want to come and join us? Listen, we have a ton of fun over at the PewterCast. You guys can join us over there at the PewterCast. You can find me personally. Follow me at Brent Allen Live. We've got some brand new stuff coming out at you here over the course of the coming months. So you guys make sure you want to stay tuned, and we'll do all sorts of things. I got a bunch of stuff going on in the hopper. So Would love to have you guys come follow me and check out what we're doing over there.
Absolutely. Always welcome here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web. Brent Allen and Tell Ren Dax. We miss him too. You guys are always welcome here on the Sports Web. All right, boss?
Thanks, Peter.
Appreciate you. There you go. Brent Allen of the Pewtercast. We'll get him out of here. We'll read these comments, and then I'll get my professional handicapper on, Mr. Harry the Greek, 88%, going up to 89, 90%. Kids, get your pens and paper out. Get ready to write down some picks, whatever he has. Definitely great information here. And, of course, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let me go out to Ryan. I believe if Brady wins the Super Bowl, he retires. I don't think so. Back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Chris Williams says no chance he does. The truth. BA lets Tampa Bay or TB throw touchdowns to AB, win a Super Bowl with VV, leading the way, and then makes Bill Belichick cry. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's what was been talked about at the beginning of the year. The whole debate was, could Tom Brady do it without Bill Belichick? He's doing it. He wins this Super Bowl. Is that debate dead? And my question to Bucs fans, do you appreciate this Super Bowl run more? I get it. They haven't won it yet, but do you appreciate the journey more than you appreciate the first one? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's keep on reading these comments. Big chance he wins the Super Bowl. Coffin says, no way Brady's coming back for back-to-back championships. The Bucs time 12. Brady won't retire. He will want back-to-back Super Bowls. He's going to be carried off the field on his shield one day. Let's see here. If he does play till he's 45, I see him getting that injury after another Super Bowl waving by to the fans. Okay. All right. No problem. I got you, Harry. So sign TB till he turns 50. He will bring you titles. Absolutely. Ryan says, and then Max will say, I told you so. Of course they will. Gary says, KC starting tackles being out is hard to overcome. I really think Brady will have a better game. I agree. I mean, it's a big-time impact, and you look at the way this defensive line in general with a Vita Vea playing, I think it's a mismatch nightmare for Kansas City. I think it's the worst possible situation if both of your tackles are out, especially Fisher. Probably would be, but his wife won't let him. Coffin says, we all knew it would work. Our team is loaded. Ryan says again, maybe Wes Welker joins the Bucs. I don't think that's going to happen. Too old. So is Gronk. Coffin says, you have to double Vea. Ryan says they should send the house after Brady every play so that he can get easy 6 touchdowns. I keep saying the only 2 Pats Super Bowl teams were as good as the Bucs team. The 2003-04 teams, they never had many offensive weapons. Absolutely correct. Without Brady, this team is still 7-9. Brady brought Gronk, AB, and Fournette. The OGs were the missing ingredients, and they all came cheap. All right. Green Bay had Vita double most of that game. Exactly. Yep. The truth, only Brady could have done this and get the team to play as a unit instead of solo everywhere. I agree with you on that. 5 years ago, if a genie told me I had one wish, it would be most likely been Tom Brady to come to Tampa and win a Super Bowl his first year here at Raymond James Stadium. Is this even reality? It literally doesn't seem real. It didn't seem real when he signed, and it doesn't seem real now, Bucs fans. You're still in that euphoria state like I am. Sign Gronk again. Definitely could see that happening. 2 years ago, Brady won a Super Bowl with nothing for real weapons. And look at the weapons he has. And you're going to get a week off, and everybody's going to be able to get healthy. Look out. Look out. Gronk looks so beat up. Bucs time 12. Shaq looks slightly above average without Vita and world class with him. Well, if he's here, keep him. I still think Shaq is worth the money. I do. We need Gronk on the line. Ryan says, do you think Winston could have won with that Pats team? The truth, no. Gronk is destroying, protecting Brady. Chris says, glad I have 40 Vita rookie cards. The truth says, love Vita. Man, he is awesome. Coffin says, they are best friends. Gronk 9x10 ain't going to let Brady get sacked from his side. Ryan says again, yeah, Bucs still haven't beaten anyone. They only beat Washington, Saints, and Packers all on the road. When will they ever beat anyone decent? The truth, I keep asking, who did the Packers beat this year? Ryan again, the Lions. Coffin says Mahomes is beatable. They ain't got a line to protect him. Chris says, how will the O-line ever handle a good defense? Bucs time 12. There are no all-time great teams this year, so why not the Bucs? Ryan again, yeah, Saints were in a good D. Laugh out loud. Coffin, Bucs will win. It's just going through the motions at this point. Ryan says, at least not good enough for Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Brady Jr. John says, hell yeah, we won that game that mattered, and this team came together, did exactly what they needed to do, where we are now. Ryan says, Skip Bayless has goat on goat. Goat on goat. That was funny. Laugh out loud. Coffin says, only way Bucs don't win is if Winston is somewhere in the building. Ryan says, that's winesome now. Maybe Brady whispers to Winston, this is your team now. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. Jameis is our kryptonite. Ryan says, no one can throw interceptions like Winston. On or off our team, he's kryptonite. Ryan says he blows himself up. Laugh out loud. Bucs time 12. Brady has never had a dominant left tackle. His O-lines have always been working class. He gets them to play hard. The truth says Bucs win 31-28 against KC. BA forgets the no biscuit approach. BB knows how to beat Mahomes, and that is time possession, keep Mahomes off the field. Fournette, Rojo, AB, so important. Ryan, again, all the pressure's on Mahomes, not Brady. If Mahomes loses this game, he falls 6 Super Bowls behind Brady again and has never beat Brady in the playoffs. Good point. Coffin says our D is used to our quarterbacks throwing tons of interceptions. They know how to deal. The truth, the great one versus the next one, Super Bowl. Tampa Bay is now Tampa Bay, but I'll warn all Bucs family, enjoy the Tom years. When he leaves, Bucs back to 7-9. Not necessarily. We'll see. Makes you wonder if the receivers not being perfect at their job either. Willow says, what about the fumbles that Winston lost? Absolutely great point there. If Mahomes loses the game, he won't be the next one. Bucs time 12. Golf, and I was thinking the same thing. Winston prepared our D for the NFC Championship. Ryan says playing Brady usually changes other quarterbacks forever. Bucs time 12, not in a good way. Coffin says receivers need to fight if there is a dunk thrown for sure. I've seen some half-hearted efforts from receivers. Mike Evans. Ryan says exactly. Just ask Breeze and Rodgers. Sure, Breeze was 5-3 against Brady, but 0-1 when it counted. The truth says Mahomes will never see 10 Super Bowls. Too many good quarterbacks coming into the league. Keep in mind Mahomes' salary compared to Brady's all these years. Ryan says he has to be healthy for over 17 years to have a shot. The truth, Mahomes will have to take less money next time around. Bucs time 12. Mike Evans doesn't have the situational awareness Brady looks for. That would be the biggest improvement we can make this offseason. I don't know what that means. Yep, he is as unselfish as Tom Brady. Yeah, I see Evans with great hands, but I seldom see him fight for the ball. I trust AB far more. Maybe he will with all the early success, but I don't think so. Ryan says Brown will be the trump card in this game. Dirk sucked. Ryan says suck up is good. Bucs time 12. Brady will turn Evans into the next Gronk in terms of big plays, but it has been more difficult than we all thought so far for Evans to step up his route running and awareness. The truth, Bucs defense didn't impress me much this year, but with Vita, wow, now that impresses me. Coffin says, I can't believe how suck up has performed. He's killed it. Ryan says, yes, Bucs time. Chiefs won't have a chance if Evans catches all the balls thrown to him. Brady hits Brown in stride. I tell you what, let's go ahead, cut off the comments for right now. Let's go out to Mr. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. Welcome to the evolution as you wait patiently in the lobby. We had former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds on, Brent Allen on the Petercast. So now, my professional handicapper, how are you seeing this game? Any changes in the last couple games or a couple days that you'd like to talk about with the Bucs and Chiefs in Super Bowl 55?
That's a very good question, Peter. Still, the line is -3. Kansas City still favored. 56.5 is the total. Still like the over in the game. However, with that being said, if you want to bet Kansas City, you have to lay a lot of juice, which means, you ready? It's going to go to the other way. This game could end up being 2.5 points. So I'm going to put you through a test, Peter. What does that 2.5 typically mean when the road team's favored by 2.5? Do you remember, or do you need me to help you?
I absolutely remember. 88% of the time you take the home team, which would favor the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, correct?
Yes, sir. 88% of the time in the past 5 years. When the road team is a 2.5 point favorite, always go the home team. If it goes to 2.5.
Let's say you put a hundo on this game. How much can you legitimately win with a hundo?
Right now, an ace will get you, if you don't take the points, probably 150.
Okay.
155, depending on what the site in Vegas actually has it. There's going to be so many huge proposition bets in the next week. I can't wait to go through these things because we're going to have everything from the coin toss to, is there going to be a safety? How many interceptions? How many yards every individual player is going to get? How many times you spit on the carpet? I mean, there's going to be so much stuff out there, Peter. It's unbelievable, man. I mean, and that's what makes gambling so fun, especially during the Super Bowl, because there's a proposition bet for how long the commercials are going to be, how many there's going to be. I mean, there's so many different things. I mean, we're going to have so much fun next week, you and I, going through some of these bets. I mean, it's going to be something else.
Absolutely. It comes down to the national anthem. How long is the national anthem going to be? How long will the halftime show with the Weeknd be? Of course, that's pretty good performance. I like the Weeknd. He does a good job. He's different. He kind of gives me that MJ vibe, not Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson vibe. It's different. It's something new and interesting. He's a very talented musician. So good get by the NFL. Previous years, well, I don't think he could top J-Lo and Shakira last year. It was pretty good on the eyes, but the Weeknd. Yes.
Who are they going to have? I'll tell you, you're going to have. You're going to have the Weeknd.
Very good. Using your.
I got to play a little bit. I was sitting here just playing with the mixer, going, "This is going to be fun."
Absolutely. I know you love that mixer. And of course, you got that mixer from Sam Ash Music for 96 years of your musical needs at Sam Ash Music. Yes, I am a walking billboard here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For all your auto parts needs, it's Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. 88% going up to 89 and 90. Any problems with Scotty Miller and his comments? People are talking about bulletin board material, but really, are we making too much of a big deal about his comments being as fast or faster than the cheetah Tyreek Hill?
Well, hopefully the cheetah pulls a hamstring. Get out there and race him. Hurry up. Come on, Scotty. You two go out and race him, because I tell you what, if we lose Scotty Miller to a hamstring, that ain't going to hurt if we lose you to a hamstring. Not like that.
Right.
No, man. I mean, it's good bulletin board material. I kind of like that kind of stuff. If Scotty Miller thinks he's faster than him, that's great. I mean, people can say he's a legend in his own mind. P.S. He's a legend in his own mind. He is not faster than Tyreek Hill.
No,
let's put that one to sleep. But I want him to keep pressing that narrative, okay? Because it's just going to make him play that much harder. And when you play that much harder, hey, you might get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you like the confidence, and would I like to see the race, have one of those Saturday afternoon, like Wide World of Sports, ABC Sports. You could just dig up Howard Cosell, and you could,
You remember those times, man? That was so much fun.
I'm old, my friend. I'm not as I look, but I definitely remember the great Howard Cosell on Wide World of Sports, and who wouldn't want to see that event with a Tyreek Hill and, of course, a Scotty Miller. And it comes down to game planning for a Tyreek Hill. You've watched that game. Do you expect a different game plan? Do you think they take some of that game plan that they were very successful with in that second half and kind of try to duplicate that versus the Chiefs next Sunday?
Yeah, yes and no. I think this defense is playing a lot better than they did against Kansas City back then. This defense has really started to peak. I'll be the first one to admit it. This is 3 shows in a row that I'm going to say it on. I was wrong about Vita Vea. Okay. What a huge impact. I just got done rewatching the game, and this time I really was breaking down the defensive line. He played about 30% of the snaps, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And there wasn't one play that he took a down off. I mean, the guy was an absolute machine.
Yeah.
But going back to your question, no, I think it's going to be a lot different. I really like Tampa so far in this game from what I'm seeing. Kansas City is a very, very strong team. They just so happened to catch a Buffalo team who I still think was better than they were, and they completely laid an egg. That can happen on any given Sunday, i.e. what happened to the Rams against the Jets. But to answer your question, I don't think this defense is going to struggle that much. You're not going to see Tyreek Hill sneaking behind the secondary, and if you do, it's going to happen once. It won't happen again. Trust me.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of let the other weapons try to beat you at that point, because Hill, he can make so many big plays. You don't want to give up those big plays. So if a Sammy Watkins, a McCole Hardman, even a Travis Kelce, but you believe in these linebackers and how they've covered and stepped up. But I think the advantage is Vita Vea being in that middle and taking up that double and triple teams, and then Eric Fisher being out. Is it true that Jeff Schwartz on the other, or Mitchell Schwartz, is going to be out at the right tackle spot? If that's true, you're missing both of your tackles at that point. Once again, that would favor Shaq Barrett and the JPP, right?
Yep. And if that happens, they're going to have more protection behind there. So what does that mean for the Kansas City Chiefs? One or two less skilled position players out on the field at the same time.
Good point.
Which enables, and it's going to force, Mahomes to run a little bit more with the football. Two things can happen with that. A, you get really tired pretty quick, or B, he's going to burn you. I think Tampa's way too fast on defense, especially with their linebackers, and having Vita Vea in the middle and having that pass rush as extraordinary as it is. I don't think they're going to be as aggressive on that defensive line like they were against Kansas City, even though against Green Bay, even though they're, Kansas City's a little bit more beat up, or essentially the same on their tackles, the same with Green Bay was. But I don't think that Tampa's defense is going to have to be as aggressive, because you do not want to push him out of the pocket. You want to play this team the exact same way defensively that you played Aaron Rodgers. You didn't see Aaron Rodgers moving out of that pocket very often, and when you did, he did make some success. Make it very difficult for Mahomes. Get that pressure pushed up the middle, and you're going to see a lot of the same, results that you've seen against Green Bay. That's just my opinion.
Are you surprised by BA's comments on the local radio station WDAE when he was asked about retiring after the Super Bowl? Because in a perfect world with, BA's health concerns and, the possibility of, basically burning out, because that's always a possibility with coaches. He's been coaching a long time. We talked about the other night, his first job was in 1989 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you surprised by his response of saying, no, I'm looking to come back a second year and win another one with Tom Brady?
What else is he going to say, Peter? I mean, those are some of the most ridiculous questions I think I'm ever going to hear. It's almost as ridiculous as someone talking about Shaq Barrett's contract next year and whether or not they're going to sign him. The Bucs are in the Super Bowl. All the focus needs to be concentrated right now. All the fans need to be out there and supporting the team. Everybody has to believe in what's going to go on with this team. They don't need all this little nonsense about, hey, are you going to be back next year? Who cares? Live in the moment. Win the game first, and after the season's over, start asking those questions. That's my answer, because I'm really tired of all the stupid crap that's going out there in the media. All year long, when you watch the NFL Network, you watch ESPN, Tom Brady's this. Every time he had a bad game, oh, what a bad pickup. He's no good right now. Bill Belichick was the answer. All of a sudden, the Bucs are starting to win. What happens, Peter? Oh, my God, the GOAT. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm over it too, because they're not consistent. And at least we are consistent here on Bucs Report. And I think some local media has been consistent. But, overall, the national media is just like up and down. We're on with our professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek here, Mr. 88%, going up to 89, 90% here on the evolution of sports talk television, the sports web. Yeah, you're exactly right. The national media will make anything, something out of anything. I mean, it's just a small thing. They'll make it out of just a big time thing that they want to talk about. And we talked about that with Brent Allen, with the relationship supposedly being fractured, if you will, with Brady-Arians and Tom Brady. And that wasn't necessarily the case, because both of these guys work well together. In fact, I think BA has been a breath of fresh air for Tom Brady. That's why Brady has had one of his best career years since 2007, right?
Well, Skip. I had to do that one.
Skip.
Yeah, he has been a breath of fresh air. I mean, I was never a big BA fan, and don't say anything. I'm still not really a huge BA fan.
Mm-hmm.
I still question a lot of his play calling, or his lack of play calling, because no one really can ever decipher who's actually calling the plays for the Buccaneers. But there's one thing that's ironic. Every team he's ever been on, with the exception of one of them, has always been a passing team. That's it. Sure. Pass.
Right.
But no, I'm not surprised by that whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Very good stuff here from Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. Was asking the question of the night: should Bucs fans appreciate this Super Bowl run more than the first one, with all the adversity, with not knowing if you're going to have a season and COVID and first-year quarterback, first-year offense? Should Bucs fans appreciate this one more than the first one, in your opinion? It's a thinker, right?
I'm sorry, Buck fans. I love Tom Brady, but damn it, give me Warren Sapp, double nickel, 47 all the way in the backfield. I don't care what the offense looked like, but that defense was something else. I mean, not to take away from this season, in the midst of COVID, this is fantastic to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's almost really hard to decide, but if I had to pick one, that one about 20 years ago, man, that was really something special because you know why? You arguably had a top 3 defense of all time.
Yeah.
All time. This offense, arguably top 5 of all time. So
yeah.
Which one do I want to pick? I've always been a defensive guy. I'm happy with both of them, but if I had to really, truly pick one, I'm going to have to go back to 02.
Okay. Do you believe that pundits or national media types will say, well, the Bucs won the Super Bowl not only because they were at Raymond James Stadium for that, but also because they had the advantage of where there wasn't fans on the road in those situations. So winning 3 games on the road wasn't that difficult. Is that a fair assessment?
You know, the pundits are always correct. Oh, they got there the easy way. They had to play Washington. They had to play the New Orleans Saints, and they had to play the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
Let me go back to the handicapping aspect of things.
Sure.
Before the playoffs started, in order, it was the New Orleans Saints were the favorite to win the NFC. Then it was the Green Bay Packers. Then, you ready? It was the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow.
Then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's number 4. I don't give a damn if there were fans in the stands or not. Those were some of the top-ranked teams in the National Football League. The difference is the Buccaneers probably have the most talent on their skilled positions than any of those teams had. You know what the real big difference was? This team came together in the second quarter of that first Atlanta Falcon game, and that's when this team really started to click. And when you got that mo going, I don't give a damn what odds are. You can beat any team on any given day. So as far as I'm concerned, no, they didn't have it easy. It's always harder to win on the road, whether you have fans or not. Always harder to win on the road because you're not in your own stadium. The lockers are different. The benches are different. The field is different. The temperature outside is different. Everything is different. The only thing you don't have are the fans. All right, can the fans be an aspect? Absolutely. But let's also not forget, you don't have to have fans in the stadium because they're pumping in artificial crowd noise when the opposing offense is on the field.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Is it an advantage, in your opinion, for the Bucs to play Super Bowl in their home stadium, or is it a disadvantage because of possibly some distractions?
Nope.
Okay.
It's an advantage. You're home.
Okay.
You have your home field. You get to see all the familiar surroundings. You don't have to go out and party every single night because you're here in Tampa. It's not like if you were in New Orleans or in California or in Miami where people are going to want to go carousing around. Players are going to be more rested. The locker rooms you're very familiar with. There is an advantage. Is it huge? Probably not. But anytime you can take an advantage, whether it's in handicapping or gambling or playing sports, take the advantage.
Okay. Now we know that Radio Row is going to start up next week, and there's always stories coming out. Do you prefer a quiet Super Bowl, or do you like headlines? Do you like, big time comments from superstar players about how they're going to do this or how this player is not going to do that? Do you prefer it being quiet, or do you like it noisy a little bit because it adds a little bit of intrigue and another storyline, another layer to Super Bowl 55?
You know what? I've always been the chef of that poo-poo soup, and that's what I've always liked. I'm just trying to keep it clean here. So, yeah, I like a little bit of excitement, okay? I mean, let's be real, okay? Let's go back to 1985 when the Chicago Bears were playing the New England Patriots at the Superdome.
Mm-hmm.
I was at that game, Peter, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. All of a sudden, the security and the police officers were all over the place where the Chicago Bears hotel was there. I mean, where they were staying at. And for those that didn't know what had happened, you want to talk about media coverage? Everybody wanted to get a glimpse of Jim McMahon and Walter Payton because in the playoffs, they were doing things to get fined from Rozelle by wearing headbands and they put Rozelle on. I mean, they were like the bad boys of football.
Mm.
Well, Jim McMahon was being criticized because he had hurt his buttocks on his hip, on his backside, and he had a pretty serious bruise, and nobody believed him. So when a helicopter got low enough during practice, he dropped his drawers, and he mooned the helicopter. And then, supposedly, and this was proven that he didn't do it, he called all the women in New Orleans prostitutes and the H word. Okay?
Wow.
He never said that. So all of a sudden, all the media got a hold of it and the bomb threads started coming in. That's what made it so fun. I mean, that's what made it so popular. Now, do I want that to happen with the players here in Tampa against Kansas City? No, but it hasn't happened since. But every year there's always something that happens in football, like what happened with OBJ when he went, remember, on the boat and everything else. They love to get these kind of stories. But you also have to remember what happened in 1985 in that Super Bowl. There was no internet, really. You didn't have cell phones to go ahead and text and take pictures. No. I mean, it took a while for it to spread, but I just want you to grasp that. Can you imagine if that happened today?
Oh, it'd be amazing. I mean, we'd be doing shows on just that one subject for 2 hours. We've done shows on that before on Big Time Hot Topics and, pushing red buttons on that subject. So
attention, New Orleans fans. Jim McMahon just showed his ass to everybody.
Right. You have it on Twitter. People be tweeting it out.
Oh my God.
I mean, you would have Bernie Sanders next to it most likely. I mean, that's the new thing now.
One of these, the Bernie moves.
Right. Exactly. Do you think there's going to be some stories coming out of Radio Row? I mean, we already had Scotty Miller. Do you expect anybody else? Over under? Give me a one or two stories coming out, or will it be under?
They're going to have bucket challenges coming out like they did a couple years ago. Spray this on there. There's going to be a challenge. Who wants to race Scotty Miller? All of a sudden, Mayor Castor from Tampa is going to say that she can beat them both. I mean, it's just going to go on and on and on. And the NFL Network's going to get a hold of it. And then Rich Eisen's going to say he can run faster than him. It's always something to make a distraction. And if it makes good media, whether it's negative or positive, they're always going to go with it. I mean, that's what I think. That's why I think it's so fun.
Now, there was a hire tonight. It looks like the Texans hired.
Never heard of the guy either.
Does this save Deshaun Watson, or basically is this the end for Watson and with the Texans? You pass up on Eric Bieniemy. I get it. He's in the. Couldn't you hire him? I mean, why isn't Eric Bieniemy? Why doesn't he have a job by now?
Well, there's many speculations. If you ask Johnny Dean, he's going to give you one that I care not to go down the rabbit hole.
I got you.
My opinion is, personally, I don't think people respect him because of his coaching abilities. They're probably thinking, and this is what I've heard, this is not factual,
sure,
that it's not hard to coach a Patrick Mahomes, a Tyreek Hill, and all the star running backs that they've had.
Right.
Okay? So let me ask you this, Tampa, and I'll ask everybody who's watching this. Do you think that the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as successful as they have with Mr. Byron Leftwich, deserves a head coaching job? I want you to think about it in that term.
Well, I think you definitely could make an argument that, yes, he's been helped by Tom Brady this year. But then again, you look back at it with Jameis Winston and his prolific numbers of over 30 touchdowns, albeit
and 30 interceptions. But
right. But still won a top 3 offense last year. So it's not like they missed a beat. So is that Byron Leftwich? Is that Bruce Arians? Is that the talented quarterback? You could say the same thing about Phil Jackson. Well, Phil Jackson's a great coach because he had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and Horace Grant and John Paxson and Craig Hodges. And
God, you just named the best basketball team of all time right there, the whole starting 5.
I mean, it is. And anybody
keep going down the line.
I mean, hell.
He did it with the Lakers. He did it with, he went to the,
Kobe Bryant, I mean, it's not fair because they both need each other. And at the end of the day, even if there are superstars, you still have to put in a game plan. So to answer your question, I feel like Eric Bieniemy being overlooked by NFL teams is a travesty with the development of a Patrick Mahomes. And
he's been interviewed, Peter. He's been interviewed multiple times for multiple teams.
So how can a guy like Dan Campbell, who press conference is just...
Well, maybe they have George Halas disease. Do you know who George Halas is? He's only the founder of the National Football League, and he's always been known in the city of Chicago that he throws quarters around like they're manhole covers. Maybe they're so damn cheap down there that they can't see the forest through the trees. And Bieniemy, in my opinion, would be an extraordinary coach.
But here's the thing, though. If you have an opportunity to save your franchise quarterback and make him happy, like, I get it. People are going to go, well, Deshaun Watson's to play for the Houston Texans. No, because they're a dumpster fire. And basically, he went to ownership and said, here, this is what I want. And they said, you know what? We're going to do the exact opposite. And Watson's like, well, screw you, man. I don't want to be here. I mean,
when arguably one of the best defensive players in the past decade is walking off the field with you and Mr. J.J. Watt.
And
he's
saying, "I'm
got
sorry."
his arm around, and he says, "I'm really sorry for wasting 1 year of your career here." That says volumes. So in my opinion, they could have brought in Jesus probably would have been able to retain him. Sorry, Lord.
Well,
They could have brought in any coach right now, including Belichick, and there's no way they were going to retain him. I think that relationship has been severed.
so over under, how many teams are going to be interested in Watson, or is it just
2/3.
Dolphins? Okay.
2/3 of the teams. About as many as they're going to be interested in Stafford, as many as going to be interested in who else is going to be out there? It's
I mean, it
Stafford.
could be Rodgers. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers. He's going to get the most looks.
in your opinion, has Aaron Rodgers played his last game in a Packer uniform? And
If
what
not, it's one of the biggest ploys that I've ever seen for money in my entire life. I could tell you that right now. But they did draft Jordan Love.
Mhm.
Okay, and there was a reason why they drafted Love, and that's still burning Rodgers' ass to this minute.
We're going to do some percentages here. Percentages that Deshaun Watson gets traded. Go.
100%.
Wow. Just 100%. That's it. No hope at all that they can save.
Zero. That
Okay.
relationship was severed with
Per-
the ownership.
percentage that Aaron Rodgers played his last game with the Green Bay Packers.
50-50.
Really? See, I see it differently, and I'll tell you why, because it's what I brought up the other day. You take the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands in the fourth quarter.
I can't wait. I hope you're right.
I do. I think he goes to maybe the San Francisco 49ers or somebody else. I mean, Aaron Rodgers still has it, man. He got 48 touchdowns as the MVP of the league. It would be amazing.
Yeah, how good did he look against Tampa's defense?
Well, look, he had over 300 passing yards. I get it. There were some times he
threw
didn't.
for 400 yards. You still lose. It doesn't make a difference.
Right.
He made a lot of crucial errors in that game. Period.
Right. Okay.
He got exposed. Aaron Rodgers was very selfish this year because he was going to prove a point. It wasn't even a contract year for him. Let's make something straight. There was a lot of press coming out of Chicago and up in Milwaukee and Green Bay. He was extremely dissatisfied, and he said he was going to make it a point to show them that they made a mistake and wasted a first-round draft pick on a quarterback instead of taking a wide receiver. Everybody want to rewind back about 6 months ago? Anybody remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuck with him. There were a lot of audibles when he threw touchdown passes from the 10-yard line in when they were design running plays. And this is verifiable information coming out of Milwaukee and coming out of Chicago. If he wins the MVP, he completely did it on his own. And that's why you're sitting at home, Aaron Rodgers. And that is why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in the Super Bowl. It's because of you, not because of what your team did. All on your shoulders, sir.
Well, it is, and he even mentioned it. You know, some guys are not going to be here, including possibly myself. Matt Stafford, where do you think he's likely to go? Percentage he goes to the Dallas Cowboys. I've heard some rumors of him getting traded for Amari Cooper and possibly a Gallup. Would that work, or does he go to the Washington football team? Percentage that he goes to those teams.
You're forgetting about two other teams, sir.
The other teams.
You're talking about a team that's not in need of a quarterback, but a team that has already publicly came out and said they are going to be very aggressive for the top four quarterbacks. That was the Denver Broncos, and that was the Chicago Bears.
Does the Denver Broncos seem more likely at this point because John Elway and his propensity to work with the veterans? Because it seems like, look, I always go back to this, right? Tim Tebow. Okay, not the greatest quarterback, but Elway didn't want anything to do with him when it came down to development. He basically pushed him aside for Peyton Manning. It certainly seems like Elway, Joe Flacco, he tried to give him a chance. Matt Stafford, is that a great pickup? And do you think with the weapons that he would have around him with the Broncos, that the Broncos could be a legitimate playoff contender once they get a Von Miller back and that defense back intact?
I think they would be a playoff contender. Now, a legitimate one, no, not like if he was in Chicago. I think Chicago has a much better running game. I think they have better wide receivers, better tight ends. They just need to solidify that offensive line. Look, make no bones about it. Wherever Stafford goes, if he goes to the Bears or the Patriots, Patriots get automatically talked right back into that Super Bowl contention.
Okay. Percentage that all those quarterbacks we talked about are in the quarterback derby, much like last year, because you look at the quarterback derby, but this could be even better. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Matt Stafford, some people saying Jameis Winston being in there, Cam Newton could be in there. I mean, percentage. What's the percentage that all these quarterbacks are going to go to different places? 100%?
Well, I will tell you this. Sources say that Matthew Stafford will be traded before the Super Bowl even plays.
Wow.
Okay. Because they want to, they're fielding a lot of offers. The Bears, they have to be very careful because if they don't land, because they don't have a lot of money to spend right now. If they don't land the quarterback they want, they don't want to ruin the chances with Mitchell Trubisky because remember, they're still retaining Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace.
Right.
Deshaun Watson, that's a foregone conclusion. He's going. Okay. He's going to end up going, in my opinion. You also have Dak Prescott. Is he going to be re-signed or is he going to get traded?
Another one.
You have Tua. If Miami gets into play for something, where's Tua going to go? You have Jimmy Garoppolo. So can I give you percentages? No, I can't give you percentages, but I think the vast majority of these quarterbacks are going to be on the move. I really do. And it starts with Matthew Stafford. He will be the first one off the board. And I predict it'll happen before the Super Bowl even plays.
Percentage the Bears would get in on that and percentage it would happen because I kind of look back at this and people say, well, I don't see it happen because it's in your own division. Yep. But people forget Donovan McNabb went from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Washington Redskins for a couple of picks that didn't necessarily work out in the Redskins' favor. Maybe the Detroit Lions are thinking in the same way, but this is different. Stafford still has something left in the tank if he can stay healthy, and you got to look at it from the standpoint of you got to put some weapons around him. You got a running game, but you have a hell of a defense. And if you feel like you can get Stafford some weapons for that Bears team, then maybe you got something there, right?
Well, they have the weapons on offense, Peter. They have really good wide receivers in that team, and they still have Jimmy Graham, who quietly put up 10 touchdowns this year, and people don't even realize it. And you now have a second-year tight end in Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's also a real dangerous kid that came out of Notre Dame, and he really started coming out in the last 5-6 games of the season. When you have David Montgomery, and don't forget, you didn't have the little scat back. What was his name? The little human joystick.
Tyreek Cohen.
Yeah, Tyreek Cohen. Remember, he had tore up his knee a little bit, and he's not going to be back until next year. So there was a lot of factors and things that had happened. They got banged up in the offensive line. As far as Matthew Stafford going to the Bears, it would take a lot for the Bears to give it to him because they don't want to see a Matthew Stafford go to a divisional team, especially in their own division. The only time that quarterbacks I have seen in the NFC North move from one team to another has always been second-tier quarterbacks, like back in the late 80s when Mike Tomczak got traded to the Green Bay Packers. And he was a second-string, even a third-string quarterback. But to see big-time stars, no, it didn't happen. It took Jim McMahon 2 teams before he ended up in Green Bay and won the Super Bowl. Okay, they didn't trade him right out of there. If you remember correctly, they sent him to San Diego.
Sure.
But in all reality, it would take a hell of a package. And I think for the same amount they could offer for Stafford, they can just pillage one of the other quarterbacks to go there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's still, Chicago is an attractive destination with Deshaun Watson. For me, it seems likely, and I don't know.
They'll have to give too much for Deshaun. They'll never do that.
Well,
you got to remember, because this is their first time they're having a first-round draft pick in 3 or 4 years.
Right.
That all happened with Khalil Mack.
Sure.
They can't afford to do that again.
No, they definitely can't afford to do that again. You look at Watson in that situation. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I think they're one quarterback away. I do. I think they have the defense. I think they have.
They're a little more in the quarterback away. The defense is there. You need another running back. You need another wide receiver. You're not going to get anywhere with Adam Shaheen. He was a complete bust as a tight end.
Right.
They could use
Silitsky. Silitsky is their tight end. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's
Adam Shaheen.
Oh. Well,
he's one of the tight ends. Now, Silitsky, I believe I know is the other one, but Shaheen was one that was supposed to come up with all the promise. He never panned out.
Well, he never panned out for the Bears. It looks like he's going to be a bust at this point. But for me, Tua, if there is any doubt that you have about Tua, and I've had doubts about Tua ever since he came out of Alabama with his injury red flags, I would trade him away, get a Deshaun Watson. He wants to be there. You already have the defense intact. You look at that division as a whole. Yeah, you had the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. New England is rebuilding. They're probably one quarterback away, maybe a Matt Stafford away from being a contender, and the Jets are just a mess. To me, the Miami Dolphins, if they get a Watson, they are the clear favorite to win that division, in my opinion.
You're probably right. It depends on who New England got. If they picked up a Stafford, that would be very interesting.
Still don't
who
have
would
the
be favorite.
weapons. You still don't have the weapons. They got to get more weapons
They
for him.
didn't have many weapons before either, and they were winning playoff games, Peter. I mean,
Yeah,
Bill
well,
Belichick knows how to put defenses
with
together.
Tom Brady, though, that's a different animal.
Yep.
All together.
You're
all
right.
know that. Yeah. So we're on with Harry the Greek here, professional handicapper, talking X's and O's, of course, here on the Evolution. If you have a question for him, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Speaking of not necessarily getting the credit that is due to him, Jason Light, do you think he gets enough credit for putting together this team? Everybody talks about Tom Brady, as they should, a Bruce Arians, a Todd Bowles, but really nobody talks about the architect and the Jason Light, right?
Listen, general managers are always the first to catch flack because every time they make a bad draft pick or they acquire a bad trade with a team, they always take the flack for it. It's very rare that a general manager gets any kind of pub for something that they do as well. And for the most part, most GMs strike out more than they get base hits on. Well, they've hit home runs. If this guy's not the GM of the year this year, it would be a travesty. That's all I got to say on that matter.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that because of, getting everybody together, re-signing all his players. I mean, it's just not that easy as a lot of people would think. All right, so I'm going to get you out on this here. What's your biggest surprise you think is coming out this week about the Bucs injury situation? In your opinion, are they going to have Antonio Brown back? Are they going to have Winfield back and Whitehead? Are they going to be fully healthy, or one of these guys going to miss the game, in your opinion?
Sources say that AB should be healthy for the game.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about Winfield.
Yeah, I mean, Winfield is an ankle injury, so have an extra week. You have Whitehead, who there's still some question marks about, so we'll see how that works out. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, thanks a lot for your time on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, boss?
My brother, have a really good night. I'm tired. Go Bucs. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Let me fire those cannons to give you a whoa right there, my friend Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. Once again, thanks a lot for your time. We'll see you later. All right, boss?
No problem. Hang on. But there was one comment in there where it said that Favre went from Green Bay to Minnesota. You're correct, but it wasn't from Green Bay to Minnesota. I believe it was from Green Bay to the Jets to Minnesota.
Correct. It was from the Jets, and he didn't have a good year with the Jets, and then he came out of retirement and played for.
I didn't mean to read one of your comments, but I couldn't help myself.
That's all right. We'll read some of these comments here, and then we'll get out of here. Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate you.
Good night.
All right, good night. There you go. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. Of course, this show brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For all your auto parts needs, it's Advanced Auto Parts. Tell them Bucs Report, Peter Blake, and the Sports Web sent you. So let's go back out to the web ads. We'll read these comments, and then once we read these comments, we'll wrap it up for the night. Almost 3-hour sports talk show getting you ready for Bucs versus the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 55. It's still hard to say and believe, but believe it. It's going to happen next Sunday. Not this Sunday. I wish it was this Sunday, but it's next Sunday. All right. Yes, Bucs time. Chiefs won't have a chance if Evans catches all the balls thrown to him and Brady hits Brown in stride. Ryan says, and don't forget Fournette. Absolutely not. And a healthy Rojo, hopefully a VOV. I like that. I'll go ahead and fire the cannons for that. Coleman says, I feel like Fournette has taken over as running back 1, which is cool. He'll need to catch all the balls thrown to him. He had some dropsies against Green Bay. But he's gotten better, and I agree with you. I've been very critical of Leonard Fournette with the blocking prowess or lack thereof, but he's definitely improved, and he definitely looks like running back number 1, that's for sure. If Gronk saved it all for the Super Bowl, he's going to be a huge force as well. The Truth says, I trust Fournette holding the ball more than I do Rojo. Coffin, me too. Coffin again, he runs angry too. Ryan says, I saw Brady. I say Brady should run one time for an 85-yard touchdown. That's not going to happen. Maybe 8.5 yards. That's not going to happen. Laugh out loud. Ryan says Brady runs angry. Brady's not going to run at all. Let's stop it. Laugh out loud. I'll take it. Ryan says, hey, he's got 2 yards on a touchdown run. He's got 3 touchdowns this year for 1-yard runs. Absolutely. Everybody talks about the interceptions, but forgets the fumble turnovers. The turnovers in general, you're absolutely right. And with him holding the ball all the time, Willow, absolutely understand that. And that was a big time thing. And that's the reason why you're happy about getting a Tom Brady, because when he gets in the pocket, he has that awareness to get rid of the ball. Case in point against Green Bay. With that field goal try of 46 yards, there's nothing there. Instead of trying to force it or hold the ball or take a sack, he gets rid of the ball quick, sets his team up for a field goal try. Of course, it's good by suck up. That's the difference. It doesn't seem like it's a big difference, but it's a big difference. It is. It absolutely is, especially in that situation. And we all know about football. It's all about situational football. Situational. That's what it comes down to. Best quarterback sneak in the NFL. Willow says going to win. Coffin says the very best. Ryan says, yeah, he never gets stopped when he sneaks. That's amazing. Bucs time 12. Brady is a 1,000-yard runner, which is insane when you consider it was a 1 yard at a time, all on 3rd and 4th downs. Laugh out loud. Turn Miller into a defensive back to Chase Hill. Laugh out loud. Not happening. The only way he can be stopped is if he drops the ball or center screws up. Let's see. Ryan, yes, Bucs time. Laugh out loud. I should say he should run every play, but don't let anyone else have the ball. Let it all be Brady all the time. Well, you don't want him to take unnecessary hits. Let's not be silly here. Jamel Dean didn't play the last Chiefs game. Good point. He will be healthy. Lamar Brady, nice try. Coffin says, I can't remember any time that Brady has fumbled when quarterback dive. That's kind of amazing. Ryan again. Yes, the truth says line Vita up one time as a fullback just to screw with KC. Let Brady kick the game-winning field goal, too. Guys, you're just being silly right now. Brady can actually kick and has a couple of trick plays. Ryan, nice. I don't trust his punting, though. Bucs time 12, not when he passes to punt. Ryan again, yeah, 50-yard interceptions. Laugh out loud. Willow says dual-threat quarterbacks don't have the longevity to stay in the league for more than 10 years. Too many injuries. Agree with that. And too many unnecessary hits. That's what it comes down to. That's why you want to alleviate that. That's why at the end of the day, NFL teams, yes, they love the dual threat quarterback, but you got to protect that dual threat quarterback, and you also have to protect him from taking those unnecessary hits, because you never know, it could be a concussion or a big time injury that hinders that quarterback for the rest of his career. Case in point, think about Cam Newton. He's taken a lot of quarterback hits, and he's not been the same quarterback since. To be honest, I don't care much if we win. We are here with a 43-year-old legend. I still pick it 31-28 Bucs. So I definitely think you care about if they won or not. Winston not here anymore. It really doesn't matter at this point. But again, we're going to talk about it, I guess. I want to see Brady throw the ball, catch it on a deflection in the end zone. Then we can say it was all Brady, baby. Laugh out loud. I say 45-27 Bucs. The truth, if they have to double team Vita, watch out. Ryan says they're going to double team Evans. Bucs time 12. We're going to have a good running game. Those guys run hard. Ryan says, yep, Brady as always will score first, and the Bucs won't look back. Bucs time 12. We are the physical team out of everyone this year. Ryan says, and you have extra week of rest. Absolutely. Willow says the next level is the Brady effect. Ryan, who here is a number one Max Kellerman fan? Not me. The truth, Kelsey is an animal, absolutely. Jay Braylon Van Zant, the Texans are finalizing a deal with David Culley as the next head coach. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I get they hired Cicero from New England, but this is not the move they needed to make, and I do not think this is going to be a move that's going to keep Deshaun Watson happy at all. I think the slam dunk would have been an Eric Bieniemy. I still don't understand why he hasn't gotten more pub or more consideration, if you will, but that is neither here nor there. NFL teams are going to make their decisions, and if it's based off of production, if it's based off of quarterback development, hello, Patrick Mahomes is pretty developed, and I don't necessarily think that's all Andy Reid's offense. I think that also is a Bieniemy, in my opinion. Ryan says, Rodgers, the next quarterback of the Patriots. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Rodgers and what weapons on the Pats? He will do it all himself. Laugh out loud. The truth, Pats won't pay Rodgers. Rodgers will never take a team-friendly contract. Instead, he will whine. He has no talent with him. Let me go out to Ryan. Such a prima donna. Laugh out loud. Ryan says, yep, but they make excuses for the Packers. They are incredibly talented. They are incredibly talented, but what does it come down to? It always comes down to what? your quarterback and how he plays in those situations. My problem is if you have 3rd and goal and you don't at least run for the touchdown and try to put it in the end zone, why aren't you going for 4th and goal? Do you not have confidence in your offense? Hello? That's your MVP. Hello? He had 48 touchdowns over 300 yards in this game passing. Do you have no confidence, Matt LaFleur? If you're Aaron Rodgers, aren't you upset about that? I would be. Big-time players want the ball when it counts. Period. That's always been my big-time debate when it comes down to LeBron James and Michael Jordan. LeBron James doesn't have the killer instinct always. He does not. He's had his moments. Michael Jordan, killer instinct. I'm going to cut your throat. I want the ball. I'm going to win the game. Don't you think Aaron Rodgers feels the same way? Matt LaFleur took this decision away from him. There was a decision. They kicked the field goal. Waved a white flag. Good night. You're not getting the ball back. Your defense isn't good enough to stop that Bucs offense. What were you looking at? No way it's going to happen. It's just that Rodgers isn't good enough. Well, you could debate that. Brady won 3 or 4 Super Bowls on the Packers. I agree with that. Ring of Honor, the stadium should already be named the Brady Stadium. I think there's a lot of people who feel like that. Yeah, at least they have some talent there, but Pats have nothing. Let's see here. Topezo, coaching is very important. I learned that watching the Patriots for 20 years. Players' imagination goes so far, then coaching a team comes in. Well, you listen to Coach Arians this year. He said Tom Brady's coaching. He's let Tom Brady coach this year. Should be the Brady Trophy. True. Topezo, Brady taught Belichick all he knows. Smilegate, as if the Bucs are going to the 55th Brady Invitational. Laugh out loud. Bucs time 12. Brady will never let them rename a trophy after him. The Truth says, if there isn't already a statue of Brady out front of the stadium, the Bucs don't deserve Brady. Well, come on, guys. I mean, they're not making a statue right now as we speak. You better stop it with that. Nonsense. No, you wouldn't disrespect Lombardi like that. Ben says, Levante David, Devin White are the best inside linebackers in the NFL, period. I mean, that's been the big-time impact, has it not? I mean, and when you have those guys up front doing their job like a Vita Vea, you learn from former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds what he had to say. It frees up your linebackers. We all know how good Levante David is. We know how good or great Devin White is, don't we? Definitely frees it up. So absolutely, those linebackers are going to be a key component to that defensive game plan versus the Kansas City Chiefs. They will be. And we'll see how that works out. BA stinks. Well, I think you stink. Yeah, BA stinks. Okay. All right. Tom Brady, panelist for CBS in 2030. Seems like it. I love BA's character, but keep that man away from a microphone. What does that mean? Bruce Arians is too lipped in the media, but he is keeping this thing together, and we do need him. Ryan says, actually, BA brought it upon himself if he only shut up once in a while, and that comes from me. Laugh out loud. Well, guys, you guys don't want a coach to say what you want him to say. You want him to say what? Well, he's asked a question. He answered the question. What do you want from him? Stop it with the nonsense. Stop that. Chris says, we sure miss TB12 in New England. I think a lot of Patriot fans do. You miss Tampa Bay in New England? No, you miss his Tom Brady. That's what they're saying. Tampa Bay, let's see here. Chris, from an outside fan looking, BA isn't that special at least. Well, his offense is, and I tell you right now, he's a player's coach. Players want to play for him, period. They do. Ryan says, Brady, belly chance. Go Bucs, says Link Bunts. Okay. BA is a delegator and sometimes a train wreck, but he really is keeping this thing together. I don't think he's a train wreck. I'm not going to say that. I think that's really strong there. Brady is the best player in NFL history. Zero doubt about it. Jerry Rice would have something to say about that. Belichick. I think you're saying Belichick. Truth. Chris says, it's so sad the national media would rather hate on Tom than appreciate his greatness. We will never see someone like him again. Tom Brady carried a lot of terrible offenses. Agree with that. Good stuff. Nice to see him having a great team. He deserves it. Bucs time 12. The NFL killed their golden goose by painting Brady as a villain. They did. Goodell ruined it for him for accusing him of stuff he 100% didn't do. I'm not so sure about that. Brady is the best leader in sports history, and there's nobody close. Tony says Brady does step down after next season. Go get Aaron Rodgers to replace. Willow says, welcome, Harry. The Truth says 11:30 p.m. here, and now I'm hyped on the Bucs and won't sleep now. Good stuff. Let me go ahead and hype you up again. Let me go ahead and hype. Absolutely. I know you guys love that. It is 11:55. I'm so happy for Minnesota Gophers, TJ and Winfield. They will be great for us, help the Gophers turn it around. I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's the kind of players that you need to get on your team. That is the DNA. That's why Jason Licht deserves the credit that he misses out on from fans. I don't understand it. You get players like an Antoine Winfield, a Tristan Wirfs, a Tyler Johnson. They were stalwarts for their programs. These are the key players right now that are leading this team to the Super Bowl. They are. Tristan Wirfs has been amazing at the right tackle spot. Antoine Winfield doesn't look like a rookie. He looks like a veteran. Tyler Johnson in moments has had big-time catches. You can't put a price on that, man. It can't be stated enough. And yet I still see on message boards on Facebook about Jason Licht is a terrible GM. I don't get it, guys. I don't. 90%. Too bad that stadium isn't filled with Bucs fans. I agree with that. No way would we go after A-Rod. Never say never, I guess. Put Miller on Hill as a DB. Nice try. Bucs time 12. Miller could not tie Hill's shoes. The Truth, Texans just signed a Ravens coach as the head coach there. Vita was second in quarterback pressures when he went down. Bingo. You both are out. Bucs time 12. We are the most physical team of this season. The Truth, if Vita plays like he did against Packers, Mahomes is in trouble. Agree, especially with their offensive line troubles. Kelsey is a real problem. The way you stop Kelsey and Hill is to hit Mahomes. Bucs time 12. We live or die by the pass rush in this game. Alex says, I think Devin White is going to be all over Mahomes. The line is going to flush him out of the pocket, and they'll be in his head. And White, with his speed, is going to be all over it. And that's what you have to contain with his mobility. We've seen it. We've definitely seen it, and we'll talk more about it in a couple days here. We could lose half this team if it would still be more talented than a few of the past Super Bowl teams. Agree with that? The Truth says agree. Willow says a BA has made Brady feel comfortable. Bingo. I appreciate the first one. Coffin says it was our first baby. Bucs time 12. I'm not a BA fan, but we are here with him, and his coordinators would not be able to handle this team without him. Bingo. Right there. Hell yeah. Monty Kiffin was a defensive god. Bucs time 12. Let Brady build a dynasty and ask again in a couple years. Alex says there is no asterisk on this season. It was plain challenging. In fact, there were more challenges with keeping players eligible and healthy. That was a large part of our strategy. Brilliant, in my opinion. Good stuff, Alex. I like where Alex goes. That's well thought out. Very good. It's better when the noise comes from KC, not Scooter. Alex says another high-scoring game. 35-27 Bucs. The Truth, no. Alex says he needs more experience. Bucs time 12, no. The Truth says David Culley was just signed by the Texans as a head coach. Absolutely. Tepezo, I don't hear you talking about Josh McDaniels. Nobody's talking about Josh McDaniels. I know there's Buck fans talking about Josh McDaniels. Let's see. Willow, maybe Eric B doesn't want to leave KC. Maybe he's waiting for Reed to retire. Certainly possible. I guess David Culley will bring Lovie Smith with him to the Texans. Rodgers isn't leaving, just wants more money. Jimmy says Deshaun Watson will be a Colt. Very interesting. Rick H. Watson will be in San Francisco. Jimmy G back in New England. Stafford to Indy or Miami. Christopher Cole and Colin Cowherd said the Bucs would not win 3 road games in the playoffs and beat Breeze, Rodgers, or Wilson. Well, we beat 2 out of the 3. Alex says, what? Nah, he's going to be a Jet. Jimmy James says, don't be surprised that Matt Ryan is a 49er. That's interesting. The Truth says, if I were Watson, I would want out of the Texans for certain now. Absolutely. Any news on Dak's return to Dallas, or will he go somewhere else? Remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. We'll see how that happens. Alex says, or a Dolphin, Bucs time 12. Rodgers will retire. The only record he will hold is the lowest interception to touchdown ratio, which is the result of him choosing his own stats over taking chances to win games. Very good point. New England needs a quarterback. Alex says, Colin all over us. He kept counting us out. Way underestimated us. Yeah, I don't get it either. Runners, quarterbacks are overreacted. Watson doesn't bring anything. I definitely think Watson brings something. He's not just a mobile quarterback. He can throw from the pocket consistently. That's why he went over 4,000 yards. Watson on the Browns is a real fit. That's not happening. Don't see that. Matthew Stafford will be a Panther or a Bronco. Rick H says Favre went from Green Bay to Minnesota. The truth, I'm not sold on Stafford. I can see him with the Colts, and that could work out. Here's a quarterback that still has throwing skills, can make all the throws, but is hurt. He's injury riddled, much like Phillip Rivers, but I think he's a lot younger. So if you get a Matt Stafford with the Indianapolis Colts with that defense, do you feel good about it? I do. Definitely with that running game. The management killed it. Christopher says, this is Chris from Oklahoma. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Welcome. Again, don't mind if you're a Chiefs fan, whatever fan you want to be. He didn't even play a full season with the Jets. Supposedly sent illicit pics to a Jets office worker. That was not a Jets office worker. That was a broadcaster who works in AEW now. Do you think Patrick Mahomes can be the GOAT? Certainly has the possibility. Nope. This is Chris from Oklahoma. Okay. He could be the GOAT, maybe. It's a possibility, I guess. Jay, do you like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? But my Kansas City Chiefs are going to win. All right. So there you go. Bucs time 12 says nope. Tapasso says GOAT is a trademark of Tom Terrific Brady. Mahomes needs to get his own. Christopher Cole, the interception were because we were going for the throat. Christopher Hall, go Kansas City Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes can be the GOAT for my Kansas City Chiefs. From Oklahoma, Kansas City. Go Kansas City Chiefs. Nope. And Ben says, a great show, Peter. Thanks for keeping us in tune with all the Bucs info. I'm repping Bucs all day from Hanford, California. Super Bowl, baby. There we go. All right. So great show. Thanks to our guest, former Buccaneer great, Mr. Ricky Reynolds, on with us. Of course, we have Brent Allen of the Pewtercast. Go and check his stuff out. And then my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. So once again, thanks to all the webheads, all the callers, as we were early on this Thursday morning. Do three things for me. You guys ready? Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night.
Going nowhere, we ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, 'cause it's bad boy for life.